Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another epic episode of Mythic Banter. Today is the launch day of Path of Exile 2 as we are recording, because we record on Fridays, and I personally cannot wait for Path of Exile 2. My brain is just completely focused, zeroed in, and the best part of it is people aren't even going to watch this until Monday, so by Monday, they will know that most likely I didn't get to play almost at all because the servers are going to explode. Because see, an interesting thing about Path of Exile 2 is that they've prepared for 1 million instances. And I was thinking, I was thinking to myself, oh man, I'm going to go on the podcast today with Akalon and I'm going to predict that there's going to be more than 1 million players that are going to want to play this game. I can't even do that because they already released a video saying, uh-oh, there's more than 1 million of you guys. Oops.
Dude, I don't know why they would have 1 million instances when it should be at this point easy to understand.
Yeah.
This game might just break Steam records.
It might.
This game is huge, right? And what makes this game even bigger is when you listen to the actual lead developer of Path of Exile, the way that they speak about stuff, dude, they're gamers. They speak to us like gamers. They're not trying to treat us like children. They're not trying to sell us some nonsense. They don't seem to buy into any of the political woke bullshit. They're just like, look, we have a game about killing monsters. You want to kill some monsters? Let's kill some monsters.
It's been a very interesting a very interesting track for me this week, because at the end of last year, I made this list where it's like, okay, here's all the games that I want to cover next year. And there was like 5 games in there. I even forget what they were. But I only wanted to focus on like, okay, there's 5 games, whatever comes beyond this, it's whatever. One of those games was Path of Exile 2. And the reason was, I've always felt like I've made a huge mistake when I decided to play Diablo 3 instead of Path of Exile when that came out. But, you know, I was like, bro, I love Diablo 2. It was my favorite game of all time before Dark Souls. So, of course, I'm going to play Diablo 3, right? That makes sense. And eventually, I just ended up feeling like, oh, man, I missed the boat on the original Path of Exile, and I never ended up jumping back in. So last year when I made the list, it was just like, okay, look, we missed the boat the first time around. This time we're jumping in no matter what. But it was just one of those things where it's like, I made a mistake and I want to do it right. But then this week, I start doing research on the game and I was like, no, wait a minute. This is way better than I thought it was. This is insane. Like, the amount of stuff these guys are doing is crazy. And, you know, go ahead.
You see, but this is, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say, this is an example of what we all dreamt about 2 decades ago when we were playing Duke Nukem and the original Doom and stuff. We were all looking at these games and thinking to ourselves, man, imagine what game is going to be like 20 years from now when graphics are super cool. I remember when the first ever Crisis came out, you know, the PC killer, where everyone's like, and I was like, bro, if the graphics is like this now, imagine the future. And then Dragon Age Veilguard is the future. And you're like, bro, what is happening here? Why is it this bad?
You know what?
Right? But this is
the Dragon Age Veilguard is actually a really good segue into our first drama segment.
It actually is. But the point I'm trying to make is, this is what we were all dreaming about. A company that has been doing this for more than a decade now, learning from the first game, learning from all of the things that they tried in the first game, saying, right, what really worked for us? And since this company has still a lot of the original developers there working on the game, these guys are taking all of that expertise and moving it into the next game and saying, we can make the next game from the beginning better than the first one because we have more technology now, more money now, better engines, better everything. This is what gaming should have been. Not whatever the modern day gaming industry is. There's still a lot of
really good games, okay? I get that you're like super dialed into the culture war, but like, trust me, there's a lot of good shit out there still, okay?
Oh, don't for a second. In fact, I would say my position within the culture war gives me a unique insight into truly appreciating when good games come out, right? So when you told me, for example, to try Monster Hunter Wild, playing that game and just going, Bro, what is this? This is just so cool.
You've never played it. Just you wait, bro. Just you wait. It gets better.
Yeah. But
and
so you appreciate when games aren't trying to
this
preach
one
to you.
Comes in like super hot. I forgot to bring this into the topics, but like since we brought up Monster, I'm just going to say it really briefly. So you know how we tend to really like when a company listens to what the players are saying. So recently we just had an embargo lift for Monster Hunter where a couple of media outlets got to go to Japan, play the game and an updated version of it and all of that. And the three biggest concerns that everybody pointed out from the Monster Hunter Wilds beta was performance, hit stop, which is your animation stopping whenever you connect with the monster, which wasn't that strong in the beta, and a lot of people wanted it better.
Okay.
And something that you're not going to be familiar with, which is the aerial capabilities of the insect glaive being able to bounce off of monsters, which is something that they removed for Monster Hunter Wilds. And a lot of people complained about these three things. I would say that these were the three biggest complaints people had. There were a couple more. And basically, when we received the news from these media outlets, it's like, well, Capcom did everything you asked for the beta in this current version of the game. So like performance is better. You can now bounce with the insect glaive and hit stop is going to be beefier than ever before. And I was like, oh, so they're just doing everything. Now, not everything is perfect. They are doing something that I don't like. They're removing friendly fire, but I know that there's a lot of people who don't like that. So that one's a little bit more, but yeah.
Well, the thing is, I would argue the landscape of gaming now is more open to competition than ever before. With most of the gaming companies shitting bricks and just trying to take a poo down the throats of every single one of their consumers, the companies that actually wake up and go, hey, you know what? These gamers are actually all right. They're not too bad. Those are the companies that are going to succeed.
Those are
the companies that are going to... I don't know if you saw even Marvel Rivals. Did you see the incredible success of Marvel Rivals? I don't want it to be
successful. It's the skin job company, bro. I hate them. It matters to me. They made Diablo immortal. They don't deserve this.
Yeah, but listen to this, right? So they make a game that has zero politics in it. Women look like women. You look at the female characters. They're all the sexy stuff that boys dream about, right? The dudes look buff and duty like girls dream about. The game launches to 500,000 players. And according to many, it's actually good. And this you will like. I know you hate the skin job company.
I hate them.
Don't worry. I'm not too fan of them either. But here is the thing that you will like. Most people who play this game predict that it is going to kill Overwatch. Finally, once and for all done. Because it does what Overwatch wants to do, just better in every single way.
I don't know. Like,
so, you know,
I would want to know
bad.
more about the monetization before I comment on that game, but it's like, because it's NetEase, I'm like, I'm sorry. I know that a lot of people like NetEase. Actually, but after Diablo Immortal, I'm like, nah, bro, I hate him. I hate him forever.
So there's a couple of really cool things about their monetization. For example, most of the euros you can get just by playing the game. There's no, like, you don't have to worry too much. But here's a cool thing, actually, that they have done, which I should praise them for, which is weird because it's Tencent. But if you buy the season pass and you don't complete everything on the season pass in that season,
okay,
yeah, you just keep going.
That's something that some
building.
companies have been adopting, and that is something that I think is very pro-consumer, and I think it should be the fucking standard. Like, whenever a season pass comes out,
everyone I've
spoken
to
that you get to keep doing because you've already paid for it.
Yeah, everyone I have spoken to said the monetization of Marvel Rivals is fantastic. They're not trying to fleece you on anything. Everything that you buy is completely optional, and it's genuinely just the thing of, hey, help support us so we can keep the game going, because it is a free play.
Look, I still don't trust them. So, I don't trust that company. It's like it'll take way more.
You have to be careful.
Way more for me to ever trust NetEase with literally anything. Yeah. So yeah, that's still my stance. But
I'm right there with you. But if I may just venture a little bit of a conspiracy theory here, which is something that I suggest that Blizzard should do. But of course, Blizzard wanted to be ultra
ain't
greedy.
Doing nothing that you're going to suggest, bro. Blizzard's done.
Yeah, but let me just say, right? I wanted Blizzard to do this for such a long time. If you are a company that wants to step into mobile, make your mobile game the most egregiously monetized piece of crap on the planet, right? Fleece those mobile gamers for every penny.
Like if the Rumble or whatever.
Well, yeah, kind of, but you need to go as hard as possible, right? So that housewife that sort of plays video games every once in a while, let her get her husband and her entire house into debt through your game. I don't care. But then take all of that money that you're making there, and when you make games for PC, you add none of that crap. Because you're already making all the cash on the mobile, Andes. Leave the PC games alone. That's what I suggest that they should do. And instead, Blizzard went, no. If we can do this in mobile, we can do this on PC too.
And you're going to fucking like it, is what you're going to get. You're going to get that WoW token up the ass. Enjoy that.
Yeah. But, maybe that is what Tencent is doing. That's my sort of conspiracy theory here. Their mobile games are super egregious, almost scumbag levels of monetization. But then when this allows them to put out PC games that don't have that seriously bad monetization, because they can go to their bosses and be like, look, here's your billions and billions of dollars. Leave us alone. We don't care. We like Marvel Rifles. We want to have this game. Just be good. But anyways, let's talk about actual drama, not just, Tencent drama, because we could make an episode every week of Tencent.
You guys already got like a good solid 10 minutes of positivity. Now we're going to hit you with the nasty drama, okay? Because you guys know it always starts with the drama.
Indeed.
And today's episode is no different. Bring us in, Akalon.
Dude, you know what's wild, though, to me? We have been doing this show now for, 24 weeks? And in 24 weeks of this show, there has not been a single week that we have not started with earth-shattering drama at the start of the segment. Like, how is there so much? I haven't put it together until right now when I realized the
incredible salt mines of gaming.
There's always drama. There's always something happening. Like, it's crazy. But all right, so today's start with the God of War developer.
Good old David
Jaffe. Yeah. So David Jaffe got into a bit of a spat with... I know that most people will be aware of Vara Dark, right? Or Vera Dark. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce her name. But that's where the spat started. However, the spat has sort of now gone to all of what he refers to as the grifters on the internet. So all of the YouTubers that myself probably included in that list, that he doesn't agree with.
Oh, God. I really wish that people would stop just throwing words around without actually, like you can just call somebody stupid or an asshole or, other words just... Yeah, but like they want to be more, more offensive most of the time. So it's like, okay, look, you want to be offensive, call them an asshole, call them stupid, why you got to say grifter just because you don't agree with them? Like, I don't go out everywhere throughout the internet and be like, you know what, I don't agree with this person. They're a grifter. It's like people just throw words around like the N-word for the Austrian painter. A lot of people also like to use the word literally a little bit too liberally. Okay, they just go like,
I literally died.
Usually what I get is like, let's say I make a video that has an opinion that somebody doesn't agree with, and they will say literally nobody thinks like this, and I was like, I just made a video on it. I am someone. So it's, you already lost it there, let alone if anybody else agrees with me. So it's like when people just like to use the word literally a little bit too much as well. But anyway, people like to call everybody that they don't agree with is a grifter or whatever to kind of just like shut down dialogue. And it's like, oh, whatever, man, you say whatever you want, but It's just, I wish you would just,
I mean,
if you want to insult somebody, just insult them. Just say, hey, you're stupid. You're an asshole. Okay. I don't agree with you and you're dumb. Like something like that rather than just grifter.
No, I mean, it is the play, right? Now, for those of you that might not be entirely sure, a grifter is someone that is doing things they don't believe simply for the fact of making money. That's the only reason they're doing it. They don't necessarily believe in it, but hey, this is a way to make money. You can't say that unless you know for a fact. So I can, for example, tell you with, I would say, 99% certainty that Hassan is a literal grifter. And I can back it up because I can go to his content when he first started YouTube, and he was this. But just listen to this. You can go check this out, Rurikon. His first content on YouTube was
pickup
crap,
artist
like
and
those
all
old
that bullshit.
Facebook,
I've seen it.
Pickup artists, the girls and the bros, and that made no money. No one cared about him, right? And then he tried a bunch of other things. Like he kept changing his content to try something new. And then he got onto the political thing. And as soon as he got the first bit of fame from the political stuff, he went balls to the wall on that stuff. Like he just went hardcore into that sort of mantra because that's where the money was. Now, I can say, not absolutely, but with reasonable certainty, that looks like the kind of grifter behavior. So someone who just goes, right, here's 20 topics. I'm going to try all 20 until one of them make money. I don't care which one it is. If I have to end up talking about Tesla stock every day, then that's what I'll do as long as I make money, right?
Now, listen.
So,
but this started with David Jaffe, and now we're talking about Hassan. Let's get back to David Jaffe.
I mean, it's drama. I got confused. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so.
But okay, so. Go on.
No,
tell us about
David Jaffe and you want to know
I want to know what you
okay.
saw, because you're obviously you're not in the bubble. So for you, it's probably looking from the outside. It's easier.
It was
to sort of highlight.
I saw something on Twitter that was being posted, and it was like David Jaffe was saying some stuff about how like, oh, the only reason Vera Dark has an audience is because she's a woman, and I was like, wait, no, there's no way he actually said this, right? They're picking him up off of context or something. So I actually started looking through all of his live streams because like I'm super skeptical whenever I see a clip nowadays on Twitter or in other social media websites. I'm super skeptical. I'm like, okay, they're quoting this person out of context. This might not be what they actually meant, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, because I know David Jaffe is like giga left leaning, at least that's my understanding. And so I'm like, there's no way that somebody who is giga left leaning is going to have the take that Vera Dark's success is exclusively because of the fact that she's a woman. So I go and I actually had to look because he doesn't even have like a clip of this on his channel or anything like that. He has a bunch of streams. So I have to go through like three or four different streams. And I'm going through and I'm like cycling through them real fast, trying to find the exact moment where he says, and then eventually I find it. And then when I found it, I'm like, okay, so let's listen to this. And apparently it's somebody saying, oh, Vera Dark is criticizing something that you've said or whatever, which I believe that Vera Dark was criticizing one of his takes on Dragon Age Veilguard, because he had like a stream where he did Dragon Age Veilguard, and he cut a clip of that where he's talking about how the reason why Dragon Age Veilguard isn't successful is because of the YouTube grifters. And I was like, no. What do you mean, YouTube grifters? Dude, I guess I'm a grifter too, because I made a 1 hour and 9 minute review of Dragon Age the Veilguard, where I explain all of the problems that I personally have with the game.
You're far right now, bro. You're part of the far right. Time to get your mustache in order.
I'm a grifter then, I guess. Even though I said, hey, I like the combat. I had fun with the combat. I liked, playing as a dwarf. There are some redeeming aspects to the game, but
Yeah. Can I just highlight something that you just said there that really annoys me? The fact that David Jaffe can say with a straight face, the YouTube grifters are responsible for the failure of the game, but then I have actual clips of him saying that these right-wing grifters are a minority of video gamers. Most video gamers don't think this way, and most video gamers are progressive and care about minorities. And I'm just like, bro, wait, how? If we are that powerful that we can sink an entire franchise, but yet we're the minority, how do you hold both of these ideas in your head at the same time?
I think
how does that even happen?
The problem with that particular statement is that it is drawing lines in the sand, as in the people who don't like Veilguard are right-wing, when the reality is that is not the case. Okay, it's not just right-wing people that don't like Dragon Age Veilguard. I've actually received a lot of messages from the LGBT community in my video where they were like, thank you for actually talking about this instead of blaming everything on just DI and whatever. I'm LGBT, I'm trans, I'm, whatever spectrum they happen to be within that, and they were saying that they also didn't like the game, and they also don't like the character of Tosh. They think that it's a terrible character and it's terrible representation for them, and they can't even speak about it because they get backlash from other people in that community.
I mean, that community specifically does not tolerate any dissent. You either agree 100% with everything,
but basically,
or you're out.
So David Jaffe was saying on that one clip that, it's just YouTube grifters, and then Veridark is arguing against that, I think. And then David Jaffe is seeing her video talk about that, and he just goes, in what appears to be like one of the most arrogant takes that I have seen, he just goes like, now listen here, Vera. The reason you're in this position, and by saying in this position, he is saying like, she's successful, she's got videos that are getting a ton of views and all of that stuff, is because you have a gorgeous head of hair, you have a face that is moderately attractive. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And because you're a woman. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Bro, he just went full unhinged. And again, I want to make sure that people understand that I saw a clip of this and I purposefully went out of my way because I was like, no. This can't be all there is to that. And then I went to see the context and it was worse than the clip. It's like there was more in the context than there was in the clip. And I was like, this is incredibly unhinged. And then since then, he's doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on that take. And he was like, I asked my women friends if I was being a...
Your women friends, okay? Wow. Spoken like a true human.
I was like, bro, this is so incredibly unhinged. Like, listen, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I think that David Jaffe should be free to say whatever the fuck he wants. Just like Vera Dark is free to say whatever the fuck she wants. Just like you and me, we're free to say whatever the fuck we want. Now, one thing that a lot of people seem to forget is that freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence. So you can say some dumb shit online if you want to, but people are going to call you out on it. And they should call you out on it. Like, whenever I do some dumb shit, people should come after me. They'll be like, hey, Rurkon, you did some dumb shit. And I was like, all right, I'll either accept it or I'll double down and quadruple down. That's my prerogative. But it's just, I don't think that David Jaffe's take is an adequate one, because if you see Vera Dark's content, she's not like using her body as a selling point for her content. Whereas you have, you do have a lot of people that do this type of stuff on Twitch. And by the way, I'm not against that, okay? Like, you use what you got, you do what you got, and it's up to Twitch to decide.
Rurkon loves seeing boobies on YouTube.
What can I say? I'm not gonna complain about seeing some booba, some midriff. I ain't gonna complain. It's like, no, you girls do what you got to do. That's none of my business. You do your content, okay? But the point is, it's like crap. Now you kind of threw me off. No, okay, I know what I'm going for. So there are women that do use their body as like a selling point in their content. And that is 1,000,000% not the case for Vera Dark. So to say that Vera Dark is only successful because she is a woman and because she is beautiful, I think is an incredibly dismissive, he's just being super dismissive of her work and the type of effort that she puts in, because I've seen her channel long before she was as popular as she is now. Like, I've seen her when her videos were getting like 700 views, and she just has an ethic where she just keeps grinding. She's like, yep, I'm here, I'm grinding, boom, boom, boom. Never once have I seen her like show up on like a fucking skimpy outfit or something like that, giving us like the good old big old cleavage or anything like that. Never once have I seen that. And therefore, I'm just like, no, this is just factually untrue. You are being completely unreasonable. Yeah. She's not in this position because she's pretty. It helps. 100% it helps. But it's like, that's not the reason why she's successful. She's successful because she's been on the YouTube grind for a very long time, and she is in tune with what her audience wants, and she provides them with that content. That's it.
Well, I would also say, as a fellow YouTuber that does very much what she does, although I prefer to go more, in a lot of cases, I like the academic route a lot more. She does incredible research, which is one of the reasons people love watching her, because she doesn't just open a website from a news article and go, oh, I have the news. She will actually go and look for backup. She'll go dig for what is actually happening, which is what people come to her for. The problem with David Jaffe is that he is actually the very thing that he accuses everyone else of being. He is a misogynist.
Wait, he's not.
Because the argument that he makes...
David Jaffe is not sexy. Yeah? He's not hot. I don't go to David Jaffe because he's a woman.
All right. Yeah. But he accuses the grifters of being misogynists, of being racists, of being bigoted. He is those things.
I mean, I don't know about racist. Like I don't know about racist, but like definitely the take about her only being successful because she is a woman. I was like, I'm pretty sure isn't that the definition of a bigoted take? I don't know, man.
Well, it is bigoted, but I would be willing to bet, not all of my money because I'm not that certain of it, but I'd be willing to bet a substantial sum that if you really started digging into David Jaffe's life, the racism will be there. And I'll give you an example of this.
I don't accept that. I don't accept that.
Let me make my point. You see it after the 2024 elections, after every single thing that happens, right? The liberal left, not the liberals. Liberals is a different story. I consider you to be a liberal. You're not a left-winger.
You don't consider me to be a goddamn thing because you don't know a damn thing about my politics. What the fuck?
You are definitely more liberal than your left
why
wing.
Am I a liberal?
Are you a Marxist?
I don't even know what a Marxist is. I don't follow politics, bro. I don't care about any of this shit. You can't put your labels on me. But I don't accept it.
Well, I can because I know you well enough to know that you're not super conservative. Like, I'm definitely more conservative than you. But you're also not far left. You're not making your hair blue and screaming at the top of your lungs for the downfall of the patriarchy.
I'm going to paint my hair blue next week just to piss you off, okay? That's my politics. I'll paint my hair blue just to piss off everybody. That's what I'll do.
Fine. But if you go and look at what happens usually after like big political upsets or just big upsets in general, whenever, say, for example, a black person, and I saw this actually happening in front of my eyes on Twitter. This was back when it was still called Twitter. A black guy was saying that they voted for Trump in 2016, right?
Okay.
You had white left-wingers telling this black person that they are stupid, don't know what they're doing, and that it would be better for them to listen to the white people who are trying to save their lives from the right-wingers. And it's like, I'm not sure if you're hearing the racism coming out of your mouth
racist,
at the moment.
Yeah, because you're just like, oh, you are black and therefore you're so dumb, you should just like listen to us. Yeah, that is very much a racist take.
I also have academic reasons for believing it. So just this week, I was doing actually, for the last 3 weeks, I was doing incredible research into DEI training. So what does the research say? What does the academics say about does it work, doesn't it work? Why is it a thing? All of the papers that I've seen show that they have no idea if it actually does anything good, because there's no research that shows if it does anything good. What they do have a lot of research is that it does some very bad things. So, for example, after DEI training was done in companies, they find that racism goes up, not down. Bigotry goes up, not down. Because as it turns out, when you make people aware of unconscious biases that they may or may not have, those biases are no longer unconscious. You don't actually treat the bias, you just make them aware of the bias. And what happens is the bias becomes stronger, not weaker. So the better way to do it is what we've always said up until like 5 years ago. Don't see color, don't care about color, and then life gets better.
When it comes to this type of stuff, obviously, we are not black, and therefore there's a certain degree of disconnect whenever we are talking about this. So what I like to refer to is that famous interview that Morgan Freeman is on, where there's a white interviewer asking him, "Oh, you know, how do we tackle the issue of racism?" And Morgan Freeman just says, "We just stop talking about it. Like that's it.
Yeah. But
we just treat
exactly
each other
what
as
the research
individuals,
shows.
and that's the way that it goes." So it's like
the research we have is that the more you focus on the things that make people different, the more different people see.
Which is why basically the way that I, every single interaction that I have with a person, I avoid, oh man, we got to talk about the fact that you're gay, or we got to talk about the fact that you're black, or we got to talk about the fact that you're Mexican or Asian or whatever. It's like, no, it's like, listen, you're a person, I'm a person. Let's talk about whatever the hell it is that we're going to talk, and the rest and the politics.
We never talk about the fact that you're French, because that doesn't matter.
Some reason you feel like, oh man, somebody was giga racist to me yesterday, and I kind of want to talk about it. All right, let's talk about that. That's fine. If somebody wants to bring something up, then fine. But other than that, it's like, bro, probably if I'm talking to you, it either means that I'm, we're in a public setting and I'm trying to make conversation, or we're probably going to be talking about video games, because that's what I talk about with everybody I know. Yeah. Okay. So it's like.
But that's the point I'm making is this is why I can say with reasonable certainty
I don't
David
think,
Jaffe is most likely.
I don't think that's fair.
Somewhat unconsciously biased towards other
think
people.
That
Dude, I have the research that backs that up.
You have the research for a group of individuals, and now you're generalizing it and applying it to David Jaffe, which is the same thing that people are doing to gamers, which is they find somebody who is like an unhinged, crazy person, and then they just generalize and like, oh, this is gamers. But you're ignoring. So.
Yeah, but Rurikon, you're ignoring some very fundamental key pieces of evidence. I am not doing this out of nowhere. It's not as if I don't know David Jaffe and now I'm just saying a bunch of stuff. He has already proven that the female empowerment only goes so far as long as the female agrees with him. Because the second a female disagreed with him, he became incredibly misogynistic towards that female. I am willing to bet he holds those same views towards other people that don't agree with him.
Let me just tell you this, okay? I just think it is incredibly damaging and unhinged to just say, oh, because you were misogynistic towards Vera Dark, I now believe that you are a racist, okay? I think that's...
Whoa. I didn't say he's racist. I said
you said
I have a strong feeling
come on.
that he has bigoted views to other people as well.
I mean, come on. I don't think that's fair.
No.
I just don't think that's fair.
No, but I think it is important that we're very specific with how we use our language here. If I said... So I don't believe in something called unconscious bias, right? I don't believe that you can be unconsciously racist. You're either racist or you're not racist. Now, do I believe that you could be bigoted in such a way that you don't necessarily notice that you're bigoted? Yes, but that's not unconscious. It's literally just how you approach people. When I say racist, it needs to be active. So do I think David Jaffe is actively racist? No, I don't. Because he's not shown me anything. I don't know him in real life, so I can't know, does he kick black people? I don't know that, right? So I can't say that. But I can say that the things David Jaffe says does not align with the things that he claims to believe. And if it is true in one instance, there is a good chance that it will be true in other instances as well.
See, that part...
Because if you were principled about
right
it,
there,
why would you not be principled everywhere?
But that part right there is where you lose me. The part where you're like, if this is true, then this other part might also be true. I'm like, no, okay, that's... Because I just feel like, particularly when you're saying stuff like, he could potentially be unconsciously racist or whatever, I just think that, okay, this is a bridge way too far.
No, not unconsciously racist. As I already said, I don't think there's an unconscious racist thing. Look, you are racist or you are not.
I'm just saying that, like, trying to draw parallels to that from the thing that we're talking about from Vera Dark, I don't agree. I don't agree with it all. And I think I think it's my opinion. I mean, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I think it's very dangerous to start, making those sort of statements, because that is one of the things that definitely happens to the gaming community from people that want to be disparaging towards gamers.
Hold up. But I've already explained to you how this is different. The fact is, if I didn't know David Jaffe from Adam, right? And all David, so no, hold up. There's a big difference, right? So if David Jaffe, if the only thing he did this week was he made a video where he said, I don't watch Vera Dark's content, I don't like her, she just spews a bunch of nonsense, and then moved on. And now I sat here and I said, wow, David Jaffe is just a misogynistic, racist piece of crap. That is what they do to the gamers. Because when we say, hold up, I don't like Dragon Age Veilguard, suddenly that means I'm a misogynist, a racist, and a bigot. Well, I just don't like the game that you made, because it's a stupid game, because you represent the stories in a stupid way, and you didn't pay attention to the lore of the game. Now suddenly I'm all these other things, and you have no evidence that I am any of those things. You don't even have evidence related to the fact that I am any of those things. That's very different to what I did to David Jaffe. Because with David Jaffe, I made it very clear. The fact that he holds these views towards women, because he did reveal this is the views that he holds towards women, suggests to me that he probably holds those views in other ways as well, even though he would claim that he doesn't. Because I'm looking for principles. When I look at someone, so for example, when I look at you, right? I can trust the things that you tell me, because the things you tell me has always been consistent in how you believe, right? So when I encounter something, I usually have a reasonable idea of how you're going to approach this, because you have principles and you stick to those principles. But if you now suddenly did something that was just completely wrong, right? You do this thing and I go, wait, that's Rurikon, that's not what I think, because Rurikon always tells me he cares about this and he cares about that, but now he's doing this thing? I don't understand this. So let's say, let me use a non-charged concept here. If you suddenly tomorrow brought out a video game about a mobile video game, right, and it had all these terrible monetizations in it, would you agree with me that immediately gives me the right to start questioning all of the other things that you've said to me?
No, because I'm actually doing that. I'm going to play Monster Hunter Outlanders, which is a mobile game that I believe might have questionable monetization.
Hold up, I'm not saying you playing it. It's Monster Hunter, you're probably going to try. I'm saying you make it. Okay. You make a mobile game and you put all this bad stuff into it.
That would give you the right to be like, okay, I can doubt a lot of the shit that he said before, because that would be extremely hypocritical of me. Yes.
Now I'm starting to question everything Rurikon has ever said to me, because, dude, this was an opinion you held, and now you're doing the very thing that you said is disgusting. So now I don't know if you're principled in any other way. This is the same idea for me with David Jaffe.
But
where's the principle?
Yeah, but like I said, I just think it's still a big leap. But I don't want to get further into that, because we're gonna just go into another 1 hour debate. And
me and Rurikon, we're bantering a lot more these days. But the main thing you guys have to know is David Jaffe has effectively declared war on all of the YouTube grifters, and he's done it by his own admission.
Grifters.
By the way, there's tweets. Yeah, the grifters. But by his own admission, on Twitter, there's a post right now. I can't show you guys because I'm not doing the whole split screen thing because my scene entirely broke. But there's on Twitter him admitting that he's doing it for views and money. That's the only reason he's doing this. Yeah, because someone was telling him, bro, just get off the train. It doesn't even matter. The guy was agreeing with David Jaffe, but he was asking him to stop attacking everyone because it's getting old and tired. The grifters will never learn. And David Jaffe was saying, I'm doing this for money, and I'm doing this for clout.
Is there a chance that he's being, what do you say, facetious?
Facetious. Sort of, I don't think so, because he seems to make the point that he's doing to us exactly what we do. So he's farming us for clout and money. And so, in other words, admitting that he is a grifter in on himself.
Let me tell you something. Listen, David, if you happen to watch this is a fight you do not want to pick. Okay, listen. Let me tell you.
We will destroy you, but
I have seen this community. This is a fight you don't want to pick. They will be picking the charred remains of your dead corpse. Okay, listen, you are going to become a lol cow, and that is not what you want to be, brother. Okay, listen, they're going to put you in a state where, I don't know, 2 years from now, June the King is going to be making a video on you. Okay, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get yourself to the point. Listen, you're going to get yourself to the point of Boogie 2988, wherein Boogie 2988 has 4 million or 3-point-something million subscribers, and he'll put out a video and it'll get 2,000 views, and then one of his detractors will put out a video on him and that will get 100, 200,000 views. Okay, listen, this is not a fight you want to pick, dude. It's just no, I've seen it time and time again.
But here's the funny thing, right? His entire claim that he's doing all of this for clicks and money, God. He's lost subscribers.
Of course,
since he started,
because that's how this works.
Can I just, David and to all of the leftard game developers out there that keep pushing your politics into video games.
Listen, can you
hold up?
Can you just not bring the left politics into it?
I wish I could, bro. Seriously, I wish I could, but I
guarantee
can't because they keep pushing it down my throat.
I'm just going to say this, though. I guarantee you that there are a lot of people of left-leaning ideology that do watch this podcast.
But very different. Hold up. So I should probably explain this. I have multiple political positions that I accept as sort of part of the political landscape. So, for example, I despise the far right. I despise the far left because I don't believe the far right or the far left are liberal or conservative in any way, shape, or form. The far right is as far away from conservatism as can be. The far left is as far away from liberalism as can be. In fact, they're so far away from these two things that they're together in the fascist group. They just do a bunch of fascist crap. Then you have what I would consider to be in the liberal and conservative space. You have people that is a lot more conservative or a lot less conservative. So center right, maybe sort of just on the other side of the center. Then you have people center left or a little bit more center or left leaning. And I think that's perfectly fine, right? I have no problem with any of those people as long as you fit within the liberal or the conservative box, insofar as you have your views, right? And if you're one of our viewers and you believe, I'm going to use a simple example here, or a silly example. Let's say you believe in healthcare for all. The government should provide healthcare, right? As long as you're open to having a debate. So if I come to you and I say, well, I don't actually agree with that, and we can have a discussion and you can hear me out from my perspective and I'm willing to hear you out, I consider you to be liberal. You're not trying to force your position down my throat. You're not trying to scream me down. And you don't necessarily think that your way is the only way, you just happen to think your way might be a good way, that's fine. And the same for conservatives. If a conservative person wants to tell me, no, we should dissolve the government in its entirety, and we should instead have the church as the top of the state, I'm like, all right, let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation. As long as you're willing to have that conversation with me, I'm willing to engage with you because I see that as fine. The second you move even further out, so when you get to the point where we now have game companies that shoehorn their politics into every video game they make, that's where you get to left-tard and right-tard positions for me, where I have no respect for you whatsoever. I don't want to hear your opinions on anything. I want you out of the gaming industry. Way, so when I'm talking about the left-hard game developers, I'm not even talking about all the game developers. I'm talking specifically about that small slither that is destroying video games because they have these wild political ideas in their heads of what they think society should.
And by the way, we should clarify that when, because I've seen it misportrayed in... whenever people are talking about this, I've seen it misportrayed as like, what do you mean you don't like politics in video games? Look at Metal Gear Solid. And it's like, well, yes, what people don't want is to be preached down to. As in like, I'm right, you're wrong, this is why, and they put that in a video game and make it about a political discussion. That is the point. Or
I'm even willing to accept, if you want to do a whole preachy Dragon Age the Veilguard game, if you make it very clear from the beginning, this is a political video game. Right? We are going super political. We don't care about you. We don't care about what you have to say. The only problem I'll have then is the fact that why didn't you make your own universe to be this super political?
I agree.
Why did you have to take the Dragon Age universe and make your political
I do agree with that. I don't think that you should, if you are trying to do that. And by the way, I support people that want to do that. That's like, no, I want to make a video game about politics. I think, dude, that's great. Do what Dustborn did, which is they made their own IP and they made their own game, and good on them. And
it failed, but
listen, but it's like, I will just say more developers just do that. And eventually you might get to a point where your game does succeed and it doesn't go the way of Dustborn.
Yeah, you might get a bunch of left-wing people. I mean, look, if I were to say developers are not allowed to put their politics into video games, then Hideo Kojima shit out of luck. He can never make another video game ever because all of his games is literally just his politics in video games. But the difference is, that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull any punches. He's unapologetic about it. And normally he doesn't treat it as much as preaching. He's sharing his worldview, which is perfectly fine.
Listen.
Right? But yeah, fundamentally, I just wanted to end this because that's what I was sort of getting to. To David Jaffe and to all of these developers, if you guys don't stop, if you don't take a step back and sort of look at the world that you're creating, you're very quickly going to find yourself in a position where you have no jobs, you have no future whatsoever, because it's clear that the majority is rejecting the stuff that you're pushing.
It's like, listen,
go back to the drawing board and figure out what you want to do.
It's not even just about it being majority or not, but I think that this actually ties in nicely with the next topic, which was the mouthwashing situation, where apparently my understanding of this, feel free to correct me, is that Asmongold came upon some like risque art from a video game called Mouthwashing, where one of the characters was drawn as like a thick anime character, and Asmongold likes him thick, so he sees that image and he's like, oh man, I gotta play that video game. And apparently, as this happens, one of the developers, I don't know if he's the lead developer, I don't know what his position is. Do you know the position of
one of the lead
artists in that video game, which is the video game called Mouthwashing, instantly goes on Twitter and just goes on an absolute...
No, not Twitter.
On Blue Sky? Okay. I'm on Blue Sky now, by the way.
They don't use Twitter.
I'm testing out some stuff on Blue Sky because I'm curious, but...
I wouldn't be allowed there. I'd be banned within like
No, you wouldn't. Come on, man.
Dude, I've seen the stuff that you're not allowed to say there. I say worse than that every day on Twitter.
I haven't received so much as a warning, but then again, I don't get involved in a lot of discussions.
You're like the least political guy out there.
But
bro.
anyway,
like, seriously.
so this guy goes on Blue Sky and he starts posting. It's like, oh my god, they found it. The grifters have found my video game. I feel so bad. This is terrible. And I'm thinking to myself, brother, your game only has, you can only win from Asmongold playing your video game if it's a good game. Unless your game is like bad, that is the only time where Asmongold playing it is a bad thing. Because especially nowadays in the video game landscape where discovery is such a massive problem that you have so many fantastic games that are left by the wayside because they're not discovered. Mouthwashing just received probably an ridiculous influx of viewership, I would imagine. I mean, hell, I bet that if we look onto the Steam charts for Mouthwashing...
I'm on Steam charts now for it.
You are? Hasn't it seen like an increase since Asmongold played it?
Dude, okay, so before Asmongold got onto the game, it had a maximum player base of 213 players, right? Asmongold discovers the game, and it rocks up to 1,241 players, and it actually stays stable with now about 715 24-hour peak and about 318 in the last hour that's been playing it. But remember, this is an indie game, right?
It's an indie game, but
that
still,
is actually good numbers for them.
They've seen an increase just from Asmongold playing the game. But this guy is out on Blue Sky, like losing his mind. And then what he said next is the part that really kind of got to me, which is like, oh, I can't believe it because these people hate me. And I was like, why do they hate him? Like, what's the... And apparently he's gay. And he's like, he was saying something to the line of like, Asmongold's a homophobe. And I was like, where do these people get this idea? Like, that's just not the case. What do you mean?
Yeah, dude, Asmongold is the most milquetoast liberal ever. Like, the dude is absolutely nowhere close to a homophobe. Like,
oh my God.
To this developer and all other developers that may or may not be gay, I have news for you. This might be hard for you to hear, but you need to hear it all the same. No one cares. No one gives a shit.
I don't think
You're
that's
gay?
true. There are some people that do care because there are some homophobes out there for sure. But it's like
the thing is,
you are fighting ghosts a lot of the time. 100%.
Yeah. But just to be clear, like even the most homophobic asshole out there would not look at your Blue Sky and be like, oh, this must be a gay dude, unless you have gay in the bio, which I'm not even sure why you would have gay in the bio. I think my Twitter bio is something like, who cares?
I don't think there's anything wrong if you want to have gay in your bio. Like,
I personally do think there's something wrong with it because I would ask the same thing of a person that's straight. It's like, why? I don't understand why you would have in your bio straight.
Because maybe they're looking for somebody out there. They're looking for love.
They DM the people and say suck your dick for $5.
No,
I don't know.
It's like, listen, if somebody wants to have in their description, I'm a flaming homosexual, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I'm not saying that it's like a crime and we should lock people up. I'm saying I question why you would do that.
Why not?
Because I don't think it matters. I don't think that's the first thing that should be about
Neither is praise the sun, and that's on my bio. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, but you're weird.
Who cares?
The thing is, I look at it this way, right? If you come to me and you tell me you're gay, or you tell me you're black, or Hispanic, or Portuguese.
I am Portuguese. You got a problem with that?
Yeah. Not as much as if you were French, but it's all right. If you come to me and you tell me you're gay, that's like the least interesting thing you could tell me about you, because it tells me nothing about you. Other than the fact that you might like sucking pee-pee. Nothing else. There's nothing of value for me in that information. I don't know if you're a good person, if you're a bad person. I don't know how you view mathematics or science or what topics you find interesting. And I think specifically as a games developer, that shit shouldn't matter.
Like, listen.
Your job is to make video games. Make video games. Who cares what your sexual orientation is?
Whatever. This doesn't matter. Anyway, the developer said that he was just saying that like Asmongold is an homophobe and he can't believe that the homophobe has found his game and he's going to spread it to his homophobe friends and all of this other stuff. And I was just like, brother, what are you doing? It's like, number one, he's not a homophobe. Number two, he's going to bring a lot of popularity to your video game. Number three, you are shooting yourself in the foot by needlessly antagonizing this community. And at the same time, it was really funny to see Asmongold's reaction, which was like, that's fine, I don't care. That was it. That was the extent of it. The guy's going on this big tirade about how Asmongold's an homophobe and he's going to be mean and all that. And Asmongold's like, I don't know. He probably just saw some bullshit on Reddit and he thinks that I'm a homophobe. Whatever, I don't care. It's like that was it. I mean, that was the reaction. The big homophobe.
At some point, we have to talk about Reddit because they have Asmongold subreddit now as...
That is insane.
As a racist
That
subreddit.
Is insane because like I've seen that apparently there's a bunch of gaming subreddits that will straight up ban you for being a member
of Asmongold.
Bro, you want to talk about unhinged? Like that is completely unhinged behavior. Like because now I don't participate in Reddit all that much because I'm too much of a boomer to understand how that community works. But if you are willing to ban me because I watch Asmongold, like, I'm sorry. That says more about you than it says about me or Asmongold. Like, that's absolute batshit insane behavior, okay? Like, it doesn't get much more unhinged than that.
That's that political compass I was talking about.
It's like, no, you are guilty, like, because you've even if, like, imagine that you've engaged in Asmongold subreddit once because you were curious about a topic or whatever. And then you're automatically banned from, like, 5 or 6 other subreddits because these people want to make sure that they keep their echo chamber as clean as possible. Like, listen, you're entitled to do that if that's what you want. You want to, like, heavily curate your community. That's on you. You do whatever the fuck you want. But like I said, I will say that's fucking unhinged, bro. That's unhinged.
But bro, it's sort of, so I view this just to give people a proper explanation in terms of using a real life example. That stuff on the left, the fact that they're just straight up banning people. I follow a crap ton of subreddits that I don't agree with at all, but it's news, right? So I need to see what they're thinking so that I can make videos about it. Or sometimes there's just, every once in a while, they might have something interesting popping up, and so I follow it, but most of the time I just ignore it. So that's the unhinged shit there. But then you have on the other side, the right side, you have Nick Fuentes, right? Who just this week, came out with a massive tirade about how gay it is to have a wife and to love your wife. You know, and if you wondered why I call them leftards and rightards, that's why.
Is it gay to like women?
That's why I call them tards.
We've gone so far off the deep end that being married and loving your wife is now gay. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And then you have Tate right under it saying, this is right. Your wife should not live with you. You shouldn't be married because you should have 4 or 5 baby mamas that just bring the kids around your house for a few hours a day so that you can hang out with the kids, and then they have to go somewhere else, and you and your brother live together, and you take on the world and shit.
Listen,
and it's just like, what?
You are breaking news to me, man. You are breaking down my character. I never realized I was gay because I'm married and I have children.
Hey, man.
I'm gay.
No, I'm sorry to say it, Rokon, but you're like a proper homo, bro.
Damn,
like, what's going on, dude?
That is so weird.
Yeah, you should to let your wife know that she's married to a gay man.
So fucking Yeah, this is
it is just unhinged.
This is some
but
weird
that's
stuff.
what I mean when I say it's like
listen,
you have these just unhinged
I actually
people.
often consume content that I vehemently disagree with because I like challenging my views. Because in my mind, and I'm this is not something that I think everybody should do or anything, but in my mind, I'm always thinking, if my beliefs cannot hold up under scrutiny, then I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So therefore, I should be able to watch a video about something that I very much disagree with and come away from that video still holding my viewpoint. And if I don't, then that means that my viewpoint was not strong enough to hold under scrutiny, and I need to reevaluate my position. So I consume tons of content that I disagree with. As a matter of fact, I talk with somebody every week that I vehemently disagree with on a lot of topics somehow. Because yes, it's like it is what it is. And sometimes I agree with some of the stuff you say, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. Dude, I have the lucky thing, I guess. I have 4 brothers. And
so you're not a homo because you live with your brothers, like Tate said.
Yeah. Well, me and one of my brothers live together, but I have 4 brothers. I have 4 brothers in general. Yeah, I guess I'm more like Andrew Tate that I like.
Exactly.
But the thing for me is my brothers are politically so different. One of my brothers is like a pure centrist. The other one is very much conservative right wing, not far right, but right wing. Then I have a gay brother who is very much more left of center, right? So I have the entire political spectrum in my family, and I love all of them.
No,
equally.
you can't do that.
I get along with all of my brothers amazingly well.
You go. You can't do that. You have to like take a stance, and you have to just like disavow at least 2 or 3 of your brothers. It's like that's how this goes,
obviously, right? In my own family, I have family members that are. My uncle, for example, is like super progressive. I love the dude. He's awesome. I give him a lot of shit for his politics, but I love him. He's great, right? So I don't mind talking to people. In fact, I prefer talking to people who don't agree with me, because if I'm wrong about something, I would like to know it.
Exactly.
Right? Because
you don't
it's
want
not
to close
important
yourself
for me
in an echo chamber.
Yeah. I don't just want to be right. I want to have the right opinion. And by that, I mean the correct one, the one that is actually real. So it's important for me to have conversations with people that I don't agree with.
But anyway,
I just find it unhinged that a developer of a small indie game would rather see their game never selling anything than have Asmongold talk about the game. And not even have Asmongold say anything mean about the game.
Yeah, because he liked it.
Asmongold saying good things about the game. It's like, bro, come on. What are you doing?
It's so weird. And it's like, I feel like we talked about this last week with the Avowed situation as well, where the developer came out with a bunch of unhinged shit going like, I hate everybody and you guys we don't want these kinds of people playing our video game. And it's like, bro, just what the fuck is wrong with you?
There is a small update on that, by the way. The Avowed Obsidian has now cracked down. They are banning gamers who are saying anything against the art director. So Obsidian has now taken the art director side. Screw the gamers. Subreddits are completely closed off to anyone that asks any weird questions.
Like,
the
bro,
Discord bans people for asking anything.
God damn it.
So yeah,
dude. It's just like,
it's good to be alive.
It's not. It shouldn't be about shutting down dialogue. Is what I'm getting at. You should, at least. Yeah. Whatever. It's like, look, people are entitled to do whatever the hell they want. Okay, you do whatever the hell you want. It is what it is. But anyway, we got more drama.
Yeah.
This one comes to us.
This one is gaming, though. This is like
100%
this gaming drama.
It's been a very interesting situation because, as you know, I've been following Path of Exile 2, like I've been saying. And a very interesting thing has happened with the very upstanding individuals of Extra Life. the very much
Yeah, I mean, those guys are pinnacles, like pillars of the gaming community.
very much not view botting. Those are just fake allegations that they view bot on Twitch. Obviously. These are some very upstanding individuals. But anyway,
I see so many streams with 3,000 plus viewers in it where no one chats. That's just
it's
normal.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
in fact, my stream with less than 100 viewers is sometimes very busy, which I think there might be some bots there because they're just chatting away the whole time. Something's very weird. I should be more like Fake for Life, actually.
But it's like, so what ends up happening, and this is a super interesting situation. The PoE2 has given out some review codes to traditional media. And that already made me go like, so wait a minute. Extra Life is not traditional media. They have a wiki. So I don't know exactly why Extra Life was kind of like considered for traditional media, but it's like, look, whatever. I don't care. So some people got some early access review codes. This progress will not carry over into the final servers. This is just so that people can put out opinion pieces and whatever ahead of the game's release. And so Extra Life gets one of those codes. Now, one of the conditions of you accepting one of these codes is do not make guides based on this content. This is just for reviews and opinion pieces and all of that stuff. So that is very, very important that this was part of the disclaimer whenever they accepted the code is like, you do not make guides based on this code. You have to wait for the final version of the game, and then you can make guides using the final version of the game. Now, a lot of I would expect that like IGN got a code, and Eurogamer, those types of outlets got a code, and Extra Life got one. And for some strange reason, Extra Life releases their review a full week before anybody else, which as of the recording of this video, nobody else has released an interview. By the time the video actually comes out, the reviews will be out because the embargo for the reviews was the launch date of the game, which is this last Friday.
Wait, so they launched their review outside of the embargo as well?
Yes. So wait, let me get to that. So
I didn't even know this. I just know about the other drama. I didn't even know this
they
bit of
released
drama.
Their review like it's not like a week. I think it was like 6 days before the embargo supposedly lifts. And, everybody's like, so wait, people have review codes? Because nobody even knew that there were these review codes out there. So people are like, so people have these review codes? And why is Extra Life the only ones releasing their review code? Now, at this point, Path of Exile is forced to come out with a statement because they're like, oh, what the fuck is... Okay, we got to talk about this because people are getting really mad because nobody wanted to have this early access stuff because everybody's like, we don't want a solved game. We want everybody to go in at the same time and figure out the game together because that will be way more interesting, right? And so the Extra Life review comes out. Everybody's up in arms like, what the fuck's going on? And Path of Exile comes out with a statement where they say, look, we've given review codes to traditional media. This progress will not carry over into the public servers. And this is just so that there will be opinion pieces out there for people to make up their mind as to whether or not they want to jump into the early access of the game. Fair. Again, I would argue Extra Life, not traditional media. I would actually say that a content creator like, say, Skill Up, or some other content creators, they usually do more review type content instead of guide type content. Those would probably be more appropriate for that type of stuff than Extra Life. But, cool beans, whatever. They chose Extra Life.
And they would actually stick to the rules.
But basically, then Path of Exile says one of those review codes was sent to Extra Life, but we had a miscommunication wherein the embargo was not communicated correctly or something like that, and the fault lies with us. So they fall on the sword, basically. They're like, it's our fault.
Wow.
We fucked up communicating with them. They did nothing wrong. And so the community is...
Can I just, before you continue, I just want to say, do you guys know what a big deal that is for a gaming company to do? Because that shows you how desperately this company will always put their customers first. Even when because I'm almost willing to bet the embargo date was communicated perfectly to Extra Life. I'm willing to bet, because usually those are mass emails that go out to very specific. So it will usually be copy paste across the board, unless you have, for example, you ran into a problem like this before. But remember, the problem that you ran into is creators in NA and creators in EU don't receive emails from the same representatives. They receive from two different representatives. So your representatives could have made a big boo-boo, whereas the American ones all got the exact same email. Extra Life is in the US, so they would have received the same as everyone else.
It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, Force Gaming actually made a really good video on this. I don't know if you've watched that, but he made a really good video on this where he talks about, like, sometimes this stuff gets handled by third parties, which is true. I have firsthand experience of this. And sometimes those third parties make mistakes. And it's not even about Path of Exile themselves. Might have been the third-party company that they were working with that might have made a mistake. There's also the potential that I was speculating that, because there was a ton of, like, mainstream media outlets, like we said, like IGN, Eurogamer, that type of stuff. And when the third party, they might have had, like, a review embargo initially of, like, the 30th of November or the 1st of December, whenever that shit came out. They might have had an initial review embargo, and then they updated people. Actually, the review embargo is now the 6th or whatever. So, they updated people. But when they were sending the update emails, they were like, why is Extra Life on here? Like, somebody might have made that, why is Extra Life on here? They probably don't even have a code, and they never sent the update email. That could have been something that happened. I don't know if that's the case. And then there's also the theory that Path of Exile is just trying to play nice to prevent Extra Life from getting a ton of shit for actually breaking embargo, which is also a valid theory. Might be the case. I don't know.
It's the one that I believe.
So nobody actually knows what the hell happened with that. But the fact of the matter is they did break embargo, and, eventually they took the video down. I'm assuming that video will go up later today on Friday. Now, the situation is that regardless if they broke embargo or not, we're just going to assume that, like, look, Path of Exile said they didn't break it, so whatever. Something that they most definitely did do is they instantly started working on guide content, full walkthroughs, the whole shebang, populate the fuck out of their wiki with information that they got from that review code, and that is absolutely a bad thing to do, because you've specifically accepted that you wouldn't do that by accepting the review code that they sent you. And that information, by the way, was publicly available. I believe that Asmongold showed it on his stream. That is like, listen, I have access to it. I've verified it. I've seen it. And it was, people were able to access that ahead of the release of the game, essentially making it much more of a solved experience than it was intended by the developers, and breaking the intent of the agreement that they have done by accepting a review code for Path of Exile 2. So that's the Path of Exile 2 Extra Life drama. And it fucking sucks, because, those guys, obviously, we already know that they will stoop down to the levels of view botting using the embedding technique and all of that bullshit. And now they're obviously going to try to get ahead of all of the other Path of Exile 2 content creators by having that early access and having, like, guides up on day one. Because for people that don't know, whenever it comes to stuff on the internet and how successful it is going to be, oftentimes it just goes back to a phrase that a friend of mine once told me, which is, it doesn't matter if you're the worst, so long as you're the first.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, personally, I think the reason I'm willing to believe that Extra Life just completely ignored it is their track record is one of being incredibly scumbag. So I don't doubt for a second that they got that email and they were just like, fuck it. We'll just do whatever, right? We'll
what
just
are they going to
do our thing. Yeah, what are they going to do? Well, it might come back on them, right? Usually what happens in these scenarios is you sort of build a level of trust with developers. If you follow their rules and you follow their guidelines, they start to trust you more, which will sometimes mean you get review codes even earlier with, like, the first batch rather than with the second wave. It'll mean that you get sort of special treatment, maybe some stuff sent to you because you follow the rules. I don't necessarily agree with all of the perks that people get, but those are the things. If you start to not follow the rules, what ends up happening is a lot of these come. Remember, the studios speak. It's not as if grinding gears doesn't speak to other studios as well.
Absolutely, dude. And it's like once
once
one of these studios doesn't like you, you're kind of like
you're out, right? Because no one wants their embargoes to be ignored. In fact, the embargoes is the most important part.
Yep.
There's a reason why they want the embargoes the way that they want them. Now, do I agree with launch day embargoes? I do not. I think personally, if you're gonna have embargoes, the embargo needs to lift at least 24 hours before the game goes live.
It's an early access game. It's an early access game, but it's like, I also don't like the fact that it could potentially be a solved game by the time it comes out. I think that's terrible. So I understand why they're doing it.
You see, but this is why I said it 24 hours before. And I just want to say, reviews will rarely solve the game, right? It's rare that a review will solve the game.
It's like, listen, when it comes to this stuff, I've already talked about this on my stream, and I said that, like, I don't think anybody should ever have early access period. Like, and people might be quick to call me a hypocrite. It's like, well, you sometimes get early access to like Monster Hunter and Dark Souls games and all that stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, I'm playing the game. It is what it is. Like, if I don't get it, somebody else is going to get it, and this is part of my job. So I will do my best to get early access if I'm able to. But my belief is that nobody, and I mean nobody, should get early access to anything. So it's like everybody, because everybody should just be on the same playing field whenever it comes to a game release. And I know that people are like, well, but I want to buy it day one and I want to see the reviews. And it's like, you could wait and not buy it day one and see the reviews.
I don't necessarily agree with that take. I don't agree with you there.
I know, but I'm a bit of an extremist because the thing is, when, let's say you're an up-and-coming content creator, you're always at a disadvantage for other content creators that are bigger than you, because you getting a review code is going to be a pain in the ass. And before content creators even were a thing, everybody was always at a disadvantage from somebody like an IGN whenever it comes to doing video game coverage. And I just feel like this whole early access stuff, even for reviews, just promotes a very unfair playing field in the space. Not to mention that often you will get stuff spoiled and leaked and all of that stuff. And to me, it's just like, wouldn't it just be easier if, like, you do send out review codes, but it's like people get the review code when the game releases, and boom, there you go. And everybody gets access to the game at the exact same time.
So here's the reason I don't. So first and foremost, life's unfair. It is what it is. There's nothing that I or anyone else can do about that. And you see up and coming YouTubers make it up and coming, or make it up every single day. All you need to do there is you need to work harder than everyone else. You need to make your reviews more interesting than everyone else's, and you'll eventually get on that same list. But remember, the people who got there first, who are now the up people, they also worked really hard to get into that position. So I don't mind the fact that you give out review copies. I do think there should be stricter rules around reviews. So you do get companies nowadays that will sort of go, you're not allowed to show the following scenes in the review at all, right? Or you're not allowed to do spoilers in the review at all. And I think there should be even stricter rules around reviews. So, for example, you're not allowed under any circumstances to show full builds of characters or to show build paths of characters. You can show the talent tree, but the talent tree can't have like, guys, here's the talent tree for my blood warrior, and these are all the talents I took and what they do, and they allow you to do, and you're basically just doing a guide live on like in your video, right? So have those embargoes and those restrictions placed on it. But reviews are important because a lot of people will not wait. And this is the way that scumbag companies make money, because Steam only has that 2-hour window in which you can refund. Oftentimes games, you only figure out right after the 2-hour mark, or sometimes even later, wait, this game isn't what they promised it would be. And then it
So
becomes
it's
a
a
hassle to
Diablo-like?
refund the game. Well, yeah, it's a Diablo-like, effectively. So I would argue reviews are good, but I do think I think a lot of the things that we do in the gaming industry, and it's actually so weird because in many ways games are at the forefront of technology, but a lot of the ways in which we still handle this is old school.
Yeah.
It's like they haven't figured out yet. Look,
Like,
you are
let me tell
absolutely allowed to be very strict on how you do your
Let me
reviews.
tell you though, as somebody that does receive review codes from time to time from certain companies, including even from PlayStation, like I'll get review codes from PlayStation from time to time, and
Sure.
whatever. The thing is, most of the times the reviews are very specific, and they specifically tell you, do not spoil this, do not spoil that, do not do this, do not do that. And what ends up happening is people just don't care. I've often seen IGN make articles on stuff that I've seen to be embargoed in my reviews. I've seen Eurogamer do it as well. So technically they are they're basically skirting around the wording of the embargo, which you can always find like, you know, a couple of like, you know, loose ends. And then there's just some people that they get a review code like say, or maybe they don't get a review code, they just find like a store that breaks the release date or something. And then they're just like, oh yeah, here's the final boss on the fucking thumbnail. Boom, right there. And they just don't give a fuck. There's just people that just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And sometimes those people even get review codes because, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And they just don't care and they just post whatever the fuck they want. So it is what it is. But,
yeah, but
what I'm saying is like when you are
that.
saying that like they need to be more strict, I am telling you they already are. It's just some people they have loose interpretations and they figure out ways in which they can argue. So it's like, can they have even more complex language? Yes. Is that going to benefit anyone? No, because people are still going to find loopholes around it and they're still going to exploit it because I've seen it time and time again from embargoes that I've received.
Remember,
and I've seen major publications break those embargoes with blatant disrespect as to what is written on the embargo.
Yeah, but remember, your rules are only as strong as the enforcement thereof.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you have a rule and you're not enforcing the rule, like, for example, you could have a sign in your house saying, no having sex with my wife. But if someone has sex with your wife and you don't beat the shit out of them, then that sign should actually say, yes, have as much sex with my wife as you want. Because fundamentally, you're not enforcing the rules, right?
I think that if somebody is having consensual sex with your wife, you should beat the shit out of your wife. That's
Whoa!
Rurikon the wife beater. No. I'm just saying if that sex was consensual, there are some other problems that need to be addressed besides you just beating up the person having sex with your wife. But yeah.
No, but obviously,
I get the
the rules need to be enforced, right? And so I think there are ways for them to do that. But it's like
the problem
I do agree with you.
The problem is who's gonna like be willing to, oh yeah, we'll just skip IGN for the next review code.
Dude, skip IGN, why not? It is, I mean, I would love to see this actually. A major publication, a major game company just not give anything to any of the mainstream media. And send it instead to YouTubers and send it to streamers and just see success. Like, is it more or less successful? Do you lose viewers or do you
Nintendo,
not? Oh, do you lose gamers?
Who did they snub after an article? Was it Kotaku or Polygon? It was at one point Nintendo dicked over one of the big ones because on the release day of Metroid Dread, they were like, oh, by the way, here's how you can emulate Metroid Dread on your PC. And it's just like, on release day, it's like, bro, this is the release day of Metroid Dread. That. Like, what do you mean? You're teaching people how to pirate this game on release day. You think Nintendo's going to like that? You think that's reasonable? Like, wait.
Yeah. But no, I mean, snub all of them and see if that makes a dent. Because I'd be willing to bet it probably doesn't. You probably still sell millions of copies if the game's hyped, right? So take, for example, let's say Monster Hunter Wilds didn't send anything to any of the major publications, and instead just went to all of their YouTubers and gave their YouTubers and their streamers review copies and said, "Hey, could you guys review the game?" But none, Kotaku, IGN, none of those guys are included. I imagine the game would sell as good as it would otherwise.
I think that the problem there is you are forgetting one thing, and that is there are a lot of people in the gaming community that prefer to read written things over watching videos. So it's like you can give everything to independent people, but I don't think there's really a big presence when it comes to written media from independent creators. Usually you get that through Kotaku, through GameSpot, that type of stuff. So.
I would like to see the numbers. I don't know what those numbers are, but I'd be willing to bet they're a fraction of what they used to be.
The thing is, you're like, I would like to see somebody gamble on their marketing approach, and these companies are like, we're not gambling with our video game, brother. With these AAA budgets, we can't gamble.
So let me put it to you this way. Just remember when we covered the Adpocalypse Twitch stuff. Devin Nash made a video where he explained advertising on YouTube is bang for your buck, the best advertising that you can do. That's why every company wants to advertise on YouTube, because the ad spend to money
he's
made
specifically
is 2
about
to 1.
Social media, though, not traditional like gaming websites. I think that's a whole another conversation.
No, but remember, he's talking specific. No, he's talking about ad spend as in he still made the video where he said the big budget. So they have this massive budget and then at the experimental budget. The big budget goes to what they call legacy advertising, with the overwhelming majority of the big budget going to YouTube, and then sort of trickle down to like the websites and stuff. But YouTube gets the bulk chunk of all of their ad spend, because YouTube is just so good for ad spend. Because for every $1 you spend on YouTube, you make $2 back. Yeah. So I would be willing to bet the YouTube audience is far, and I'm talking for specific games, so much larger than IGN or Kotaku's. And we see it sort of because all of these websites are struggling, right? A lot of these websites are closing down. Kotaku is down to 4 now.
I don't know if they're bigger or not, but the argument that I would make is there's a different group of people that watch videos and a different group of people that consume gaming through written media. And it's like you're closing off the people that only do written media, and that's a bad idea. So that's what I would argue.
Maybe, but like I said, this would just be sort of like a philosophical exercise. So, I would want to see, in a perfect world, I would love to see that. But okay, let's move on to the next one, because I don't know anything about this. It's just no Rurikon. This is what Rurikon writes to me, guys. Just bear with me. This is what Rurikon writes to me on this list. Diablo 4 cooks themselves with the cookbook shit. This is supposed to be just the topics, so that we know. He finds it so funny he has to add lol to the topic list.
So
what's going on here?
You remember how last week we talked about that there was this big announcement in Path of Exile, and Blizzard had this big brain move of doing their fireside chat where they announced fucking nothing right before the Path of Exile big stream. Okay, so what I'm about to tell you is actually pretty much old news. By now it's going to be even older when Monday rolls around, but I think it's worth for a good laugh in case somebody hasn't heard about this. Okay, so what happens, right? Blizzard does their little fireside chat thing, which nobody is watching. It's one of the lowest watched fireside chats of all time because they didn't announce anything. Immediately after, Path of Exile comes out, and they go like, all right, brother, they unzip, and then they like put their dick on the table, and they just like unleash, right? They do the thing. And then after that, Rod Ferguson gets like all up in his feelings, and he's just like, oh man, we should normalize the term Diablo-like.
Yeah.
And so right at that moment, the whole community goes, D4 is cooked, Diablo is cooked, everybody is making the meme, Diablo is cooked, this team is cooked, they're done.
Yeah.
What does Diablo do, bro? They have the best announcement in the world. They put out a video on the official Diablo channel of somebody preparing a meal. Actually preparing a meal, like some type of stew or whatever. No, it was like these wrap things, whatever, like pigs in a blanket, something along those lines, right? And they're just like sitting there cooking, doing the thing. And then at the end of it, they announced Diablo, what was it? It was Dark Delicacies, Diablo 4 Dark Delicacies, something cookbook. Okay. It's like, as the whole community is saying, D4 is cooked. They launch an actual cookbook, which, by the way, is more expensive than the early access for Path of Exile 2.
Wow.
And then you go to that video, that's the most hilarious part, because they did not moderate the comment section of that video. So like,
I think the moderator probably just gave up. They're
so like, at least for a good while, the last time that I went there, this was the top comment. The only cooking the Diablo 4 team has ever done. And then just a bunch of comments of people saying like, you should just like buy PoE early access instead.
Dude, it
was the worst possible time for them to launch a cookbook.
Wow. That comment makes me... Dude.
Oh, God.
This is a criticism that I and you and many others have had about the AAA Western studios for a while now. And it is this... They play it safe every single time. None of them will ever try to push the envelope even for a little bit. I was just seeing this article. It didn't make it into the topic, into the show, but I guess here we are. It's in the show now. I was reading this article just beforehand where they're talking to a bunch of AAA developers, and the AAA developers are effectively saying, thanks to the size of gaming budgets now, it has become ever more difficult to actually experiment with video games, and instead you have to play it super safe, because obviously you've invested $250 million into this game. If it doesn't sell, you're shut out of luck. The problem, of course, is that because you're not actually doing anything new, the games aren't selling.
Yeah, because people want innovation.
Yeah, but the problem is also when you allow them to innovate. So when they're trying to be new, it doesn't work. Like Dragon Age the Veilguard is a great example of them.
What do you mean?
Trying
they
something new.
They didn't try anything new with Dragon Age Veilguard. No, they did. Dragon Age Veilguard is the safest piece of slop they could have ever done.
No, but here's the thing. What I mean with trying something new is they looked at all of the other Dragon Age games and said, no, we're going to do something new. And what you end up with is something that you look for creativity and you go, wait, but okay, I get that it's not like 1, 2, and 3. So technically it's new, but there's zero creativity. So the thing is, I don't see, there's no
technically
creative thought.
It's new, but the biggest thing that they've done with Dragon Age Veilguard is it was the safest possible approach. And when you're talking about innovation, what people are saying is like, you should take risks. And they took absolutely no risks. They're like, this is going to be the most, happy-go-lucky possible that can be accepted by the biggest possible audience. We're going to take absolutely no chances. We're not going to make anything like super dark so that we don't alienate people that don't want to play a dark game. And it was the safest possible thing that they could have done. And people rejected it because they're like, okay, we don't want none of this safe bullshit. We want you to take chances, which is exactly one of the things that the Path of Exile Team 2 is doing, because I've been seeing a lot of interviews and stuff. And Jonathan, one of their game directors, was talking about how they had to get into a mindset of actually taking a lot of chances. And they're like, no, we're going to change this. We're going to change that. This is going to be different from PoE 1. Maybe people like it. Maybe they won't like it. We need to focus test it. But they were making a conscious effort of like, no, we're not going to boil it down, make it mainstream. It's like, no, we're going to have to take chances. And they're super happy about the space that they're in, which is not like on the size of a AAA bloated budget and all of that, because it allows them to keep pushing the envelope and taking those chances.
Yeah, but you see, this is the point I'm making. You and I make the exact same point, but we're talking past each other.
That never happens.
I think if you actually spoke to Corinne Bush, right, who is the lead developer for Dragon Age, they would claim that no, this is new. We took chances.
New.
We tried something brand new.
Chances is a different thing.
Yeah, but I think they took chances. I think if you spoke to Rod Ferguson, for example, from Blizzard, and you asked him about Diablo 4, he would be like, dude, we pulled out all the stops. Look at our talent tree. That is the most linear bullshit
They pulled
ever.
out so many stops that the cars couldn't move on the road, so they got out.
I think we have a genuine issue within the AAA space of severe brain drain
and disconnect
that has happened over the last few years.
They're out of touch.
Yeah, there's
100%. Yeah.
There's a complete disconnect between the developers and the players. They just don't know what the players want. Yep. And you see that so perfectly between Path of Exile and Diablo 4.
The main reason...
Path of Exile 2 is giving the players of ARPGs what players of ARPGs want. Diablo 4 came out and said, hey, we've learned the lessons from Diablo 3, and we've heard you loud and clear. We're now going to make a game for you that you guys want. The game launches in the ARPG, Andes are looking at it going, the hell's this? We don't want this. We want to be able to theory craft and figure out that one build that only works in this one situation, but it blows shit up in crazy fashion. That's what we want, not whatever the hell this is.
And that's them basically being out of touch with their audience. And there was actually something really interesting that I saw in one of the interviews that I saw yesterday from Path of Exile 2, which was something that I feel a lot of people in the AAA gaming industry aren't doing right now, which is Jonathan was saying how he was super cognizant of whatever everybody else in the space was doing, because he was very, he was saying that, like, we need to be very aware of what is happening in this space, because whenever somebody else sets a new standard, we need to be able to live up to that standard. And I was like, fucking thank you. The exact opposite of what a bunch of people came out and said about Baldur's Gate 3. You remember that last year or the year before, whatever?
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 about to come out, and everybody's like having big old meltdowns and go like, oh, okay, this can't be the new standard. Don't expect this from anybody else. Meanwhile, we have the Path of Exile developer, basically an indie team, like AA sized, if anything. And he's like, no, if somebody brings something new to the space that becomes a new standard, we need to be able to live up to that standard and possibly even exceed it. And I was like, fucking thank you. Jesus Christ. Yep. Why is it so hard? It's like, of course you got to look to stuff and try to reach as many standards as you possibly can within your means. Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah. You're crazy if you don't think that's the case.
It's sort of like, it truly is baffling. Yeah. When you said that line, it's funny enough, my mind immediately also went to Baldur's Gate. And when Baldur's Gate came out, you, instead of having the rest of the industry going, wait, that's possible? Boys, that game we're working on right now, scrap it. We need to I wouldn't say
scrap it, but be like, listen, here's what the standard is. We need to, at the very least, do our best to meet up to this standard somehow.
Oh, yeah. You got to figure it out. I sort of just, I wasn't going to go into too much detail. What I meant was, you look at them and you go, right, we wanted to have this game that just does this. Scrap that. Let's go.
We got to go further. We got to,
we have to go super far, because look at what is possible. Exactly. They instead went, no. We
got to tell everybody that this can't be done. It's like,
yeah, and all of the media obviously also jumped on the bandwagon. They're like, look, not every gaming company has that amount of money.
It's like, of course they don't.
That amount of time. And it's like, wait, Larian Studios, last time I checked, is a AA developer. What do you mean? Not every Ubisoft has billions of dollars. Dude, Ubisoft makes quadruple A video games. It's not money is not the problem for Ubisoft. Like, stop bullshitting.
Money wasn't the problem for Ubisoft. Now they're sacrificing all of their employees on the altar, on the blood altar of the line god, because the line must go up, and they're gonna sacrifice every fucking buddy because they don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah,
that's what Ubisoft is doing.
But it's interesting. It's interesting, part of that research that I've been doing on the whole, the DEI training and corporate culture and things in America specifically.
Bro, you really got to bring it back to DEI. Fuck me, dude.
No, this is actually not about the DEI stuff. It's more about what the training does. Because one of the interesting things that they're still researching, now I haven't looked at papers yet that try to find the correlation between these two things, but they find that companies where DEI training is sort of super involved in what employees do, right? So you have a bunch of Fortune 500 companies, for example, where as soon as you start at that company, within the first month, you will be subjected to a DEI training course where for a week long, they teach you how racist you are effectively. And then every 6 months, they will have these follow-up courses to make sure that you remember how racist you are. What they find in those companies is productivity is very low. So when they look at companies that don't put as much effort into DEI, productivity tends to be much, much higher per employee. Whereas these companies tend to have way more employees getting less work done than the other companies because the employees just don't want to work. And then a key thing is creativity. They see creativity go down. So workers just aren't as creative when they're consistently subjected to these training regimes. Now, we can go into detail about why that is, because there are articles that go into that. But for me, the main thing is the focus. You look at gaming industry in general, and they are at the forefront of the woke DEI political landscape. And I think to myself, I was doing a video yesterday about GTA 6. And you look at GTA 6 and you realize that two of the main writers since day one of GTA, since the first GTA, two of the main writers have left Rockstar. They're no longer with Rockstar. Then you go look at all of the other people that have left and you start to realize that most of their veterans have already left the company. And I think big parts of that is the fact that as these studios have become more and more political, it doesn't matter what politics it is, because you could even have a liberal director. How long do you think he's going to last in a company that becomes ever more conservative?
It was always...
So they start leaving, and you end up with these Rod Ferguson types that come up with tweets like, well, we should call it Diablo-like. And it's like, bro,
it's interesting.
It's
interesting that you're saying that, because one of the things that I remember from back in the GTA 5 days is the people who worked on GTA 5. I remember them doing interviews and stuff where they basically said, we don't know how to make GTA 6 because GTA 5 is basically an exaggeration of a lot of stuff that is happening in America. And a lot of the stuff that is happening in GTA 5 is basically becoming the real life. So we don't know. They're like, we don't know what to do now. So it doesn't surprise me that a lot of them are like, actually, I don't know if we can make a GTA 6. So they leave. But yeah.
I mean, the guy who ultimately left Rockstar, he was the co-founder of Rockstar and the lead writer on all of the GTAs. He basically said, in the modern era, I don't know if we can make GTA. Because remember, the whole point of GTA is that it's satire. And it does what South Park does. It holds back on no one. It satirizes everyone. Left, right, gay, straight. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get taken the piss out of.
The current climate is not particularly accepting of that type of comedy. Yeah.
No. And I think that's why big studios are losing big names, because these big names want to make video games regardless of the outrage that it might cause. But then you have these massive studios that just will not do that. Right? Because Rockstar doesn't want to get dragged and Blizzard doesn't want to get dragged by the media. And so we end up with things like Diablo 4. Dude, I personally hope that Path of Exile 2 shuts down Diablo.
No, it's not. It's not.
And I
gonna
say
happen.
this as someone that has loved Diablo since Diablo 1.
I don't want them to shut it down. It's like I'm just at a point where, like, look, there's a lot of people that want to play Diablo 4, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. You play Diablo 4. You know, it is what it is. Enjoy it. Enjoy whatever you want to enjoy, dude. Life's too short. It's whatever. I don't want Path of Exile 2 to destroy Diablo 4. I just don't care about Diablo, which is something that to me is extremely painful to say. But it's mostly because of it's not even because of the quality of like Vessel of Hatred, which I've also heard is terrible. When even Co-Carnage is like, man, the writing in Vessel of Hatred is garbage. I was like, damn, Co-Carnage said that? Okay. I mean, it can't be particularly good. And then I look at the gameplay and I see whatever their new class is just, it's almost like if there's a scale from 1 to 100, their new class is 100 and the highest one of the other classes can get to is like a 30. It's like, bro, there's a problem there that you guys fucked up. You guys done fucked up at some point. So I think that there's a lot of problems there. But to me, it's mostly about their business practices and the fact that they, you know, the whole thing about the season pass that I always like bringing up. And to me, it's not even about, oh, I'm spiteful because of it. It's more like, I can't believe that 3 of your developers admitted that this was a mistake, that this shouldn't have happened, and you didn't do right by your customers. Like, what the fuck do you mean? What kind of business are you running? Are you insane? Like, that's fucking crazy. So to me, it's more like, like I said, Diablo 2 used to be my favorite game of all time before I played Dark Souls. It was Diablo 2. I was like, bro, this is the best game I've ever played. This is fantastic. I fucking love it. Love everything about this game. And they've completely lost me. Like, it's like, that's done. That is over, dude. Like, Diablo is over for me, which is something that is very sad to me.
But you see, this is why I want Diablo 4 to close down. I'm still and I realize many of the viewers will go, bro lives in La La Land. But I'm still of the opinion that a big enough shockwave across the gaming industry might wake these companies up and might correct the ship. Because the thing that I just keep thinking about is you have shit games coming out of the AAA companies. But a lot of these AAA companies sit on goldmine IPs that I would desperately want to see more video games in, like Mass Effect, like Dragon Age.
Like
I wish
Warcraft,
the last Dragon Age
like
wasn't
Diablo.
Dragon Age Inquisition. Yeah. Like Diablo, like Warcraft. There's phenomenal IPs that are just sitting there waiting for someone to make a video game in it. Yeah, because they keep bringing out schlop. I'm just going to skip 2 topics on today's list because we're kind of running out of time. Instead, I want to talk about the next topic, which is related to this topic. Rurkon, you recently finished Dragon Age the Vanguard, right? Now, would you believe me if I told you that the BioWare developers are completely baffled, and I say baffled, about why the game isn't selling? They've admitted now that it's not selling as well as they would have wanted.
So for those developers, I made a very detailed video of 1 hour and 9 minutes that explains to you exactly why your game isn't selling. But to summarize it, your game isn't selling because you didn't take any chances, because you took an established IP that was known for giving players a tremendous amount of agency in their playthroughs, and you completely removed all of that agency. I'm not exaggerating. A lot of people like, you get to choose which city to save. Changes fuck all in the great scheme of things. Oh, you get to make this decision here at Weishaupt where you can punch the first warden. Changes fuck all in the outcome of that story. You get to choose which heroes you send on the suicide mission. Yes, you want to know what the changes are? They tell you, hey, you should put a mage here. And you put a mage there. And guess what? If you don't put a mage there, the character that you put there is going to die. That's your agency, okay? The game literally tells you, hey, you need to assign a mage to do this task. And you're going to go like, oh, I think I'll put a melee character there. It's like, are you going to go like, oh, I won the scenario because I'm so smart because the game told me to put a mage here. I put a mage here and we won. Like, oh my God. It's like, bro, this is not agency. This is you telling people, oh, you should choose between these two characters and put one of them in here. That's agency? There's no agency in the whole game. There's literally no agency. The only moment where I felt that I had the most agency is, like I just said, is when I got to choose to punch the first warden in the face. That was like, man, finally, I got to punch this guy in the face, which changed fucking nothing in the whole story. Nothing at all. And I was like, whether I reason with him or punch him in the face, nothing changes. Here's another thing. You remember when in Mass Effect, you would have like those prompts that would say, oh, this character greatly disapproves of this action that you've taken. Like these would be problems for you, right? Like potentially locking certain outcomes. Nothing matters in Dragon Age. Every time that you see like it come up and it says, oh, this character doesn't approve of this, I just go like, why the fuck do I care? This doesn't change anything. Literally changes nothing in the whole game. Zero. So whatever, bro. It's like,
but here's their opinion on why the game failed. Now, of course, a few weeks ago, they did say that us grifters had a lot to do with the failure of the game. But now we also have this new little nugget of truth, which is the reality was, whatever we came out with, it was never going to match the Dragon Age 4 in people's minds and people's imaginations, because according to them, people had 10 years to imagine what Dragon Age 4 was going to look like. And so even though they made a phenomenal game in their own minds, it was never going to be as good as players wanted it to be, because players, you know, the expectations was just way too large. And then I just see this image in my head of Diablo, Baldur's Gate 3 sitting there looking at Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 from almost 20 years ago. And Baldur's Gate 3 going, bro, what are you talking about? Like, it is absolutely possible to live up and even exceed the expectations of players.
Absolutely. It is. It is absolutely possible. And it's like, it's little things. It's just, the problem is, you wanted to make a linear story with Dragon Age, and that was never going to be something that players were going to accept. Like, if you were to tell me, oh yeah, we want to make a Dragon Age, but it's going to be linear, I would be like, that's a terrible idea. I mean, you can make it, but just make it perfectly clear that this is not Dragon Age 4. You call it a spin-off of some kind. You warn your player base, this is a spin-off game. It's going to play kind of like God of War. It's going to be very different. Don't go into this expecting Veil God. So it's like, a lot of this is even about managing expectations. So to give an idea, the other day, I did a podcast with the community managers of Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah.
And I know that at this point, a lot of people in Monster Hunter are looking for like, oh, what's the new thing? We're going to get big news, all of that stuff. So before I released that podcast, I was like, hey, listen, in this podcast, we're not going to be breaking any news. It's just going to be a conversation with the community managers as fans of the game. And we're just going to have like a nice, fun chat about the open beta. That's it. So I instantly told everybody, don't expect this to be like big breaking fucking news to set expectations. Yeah. So you could have even made a game like Veilguard if you set up the expectations right. The problem is you come out with these big marketing pushes going like, oh, you have no idea. This is the best. And then mainstream media likes to parrot the bullshit you're spewing by going like, BioWare's return to form. And it's like, of course, you're fucking getting everybody super hyped up for this game.
Yeah.
And then you're not delivering on some of the most basic things like, let me be mean. I just want to be mean. Yeah. I just want to be able to disagree with characters. You can't disagree with anybody ever. And the one time they let you disagree was the one time that I got to punch the first warden in the face. That was it. That was one time. Like, what the fuck?
I will say, so first and foremost, Corinne Bush disagrees with you absolutely. Because when she was asked, why didn't they bring the choices from the previous Dragon Age games into this one, she had the following to say. She said, the big thing for us is we wanted to make this story, every single choice you made, feel relevant to it. So she thinks that there were many choices that you could make.
And that
they were
Corrine
impactful.
Bush says that every single choice you made is going to be relevant?
Yeah. They wanted to make sure that the choices are relevant to this universe. I'll tell you what it feels like to me, right? It feels like they wanted desperately to make Dragon Age God of War. That's what they wanted to make. Now, God of War, famously, at least from the stuff that I've played, is not a game that gives you choices. You are effectively playing a cinematic reenactment of the story of Kratos and how he's going through things. There's a boss there, you're going to fight that boss. There's no Baldur's Gate, you're going to trick him and then he's going to stub his toe and fall over and die. There's the boss, kill the boss so that you can see the next part of the story. That's the point of the game. But they wanted to do this, and then someone from higher up told them, hey, but this is Dragon Age. Dragon Age have choice. And like, well, we don't really want to give players choice because we have this fantastic story that we want to tell. Fine, we'll add some really non-consequential choices to the game that doesn't change anything whatsoever. Because even if you do decide to destroy one of your companions' city, the only reaction is, I'm going to do more damage. Yep. And then that's the end of I'm not gonna heal you anymore.
It's like, I wasn't using you for healing. Your heal actually sucked, Nev. I'm sorry. Your heal was not very good. So
it's just like, and they were sort of forced to make this sort of Dragon Age parody almost of what Dragon Age used to be. And I'm reminded of the same failures that happened in Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda should not have been called Mass Effect Andromeda. Instead, what I think they should have done is call it Andromeda, and then in very small letters,
a Mass Effect
story. Yeah. The same with Dragon Age. Call it The Veilguard.
A Dragon Age story.
A Dragon Age story. So that people understand this is not Dragon Age. This is a story set in the Dragon Age universe, but it is not Dragon Age. And
hell, they should have called this one Dragon Age for kids.
Yeah, they should probably have called it Teletubbies or some shit, right? Dragon Age, the Teletubbies Veilguard or whatever. But I will give them props for this. Avowed. The universe that Avowed is set in is Pillars of Eternity. And yet they did not call their game Pillars of Eternity 3. Because Avowed plays very different than Pillars of Eternity.
Is like turn-based, isometric.
It's CRPG, right? So if you popped there, Pillars of Eternity Avowed, what players in their minds go into thinking it is a CRPG.
And by the way,
and then you get a first-person magic game. It's like, well, that's not what I
have some criticism for Avowed. I cannot believe that you have a video game where dwarves exist and the only two playable races are human and knife eaters. It's like, bro, what is it with the elven love? Everybody loves elves. Nobody wants to make a goddamn dwarf. Like, bro, I'm so disappointed, dude.
But it's based, man.
It's what?
But all right, so it's based.
Sure.
Like, fuck the dwarves.
Sure thing. You can't play an orc either, so whatever, bro.
I mean, I only play orc in World of Warcraft. Yeah. Everywhere else, I always play human. But so sort of piggybacking off of the Dragon Age the Veilguard, just complete bafflement as to why their game have failed. The thing that's wild to me, however, is the gamers tell you ahead of time, hey, we would prefer not to have your politics in our video games, and we would also like to have a Dragon Age game. You then reveal the game to us, and we go, okay, there seems to be a lot of politics here.
See,
but also,
I disagree.
Most importantly,
I disagree. Okay, this is actually one of the things that bothers me. A lot of people are like, the biggest problem with Veilguard is how woke it is. Like, listen, the woke stuff is less than 5%. It's less than 5%.
Yeah, but I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. So just to be clear,
I thought that's
we were telling them ahead of time, hey, there's a lot of politics in the game, but also at the same time, this really isn't Dragon Age. And they go, no, don't worry, we got this. Then they keep releasing more information, and the player base still goes, ooh, there's even more politics now. But even more now, this really doesn't feel like a Dragon Age game. Then the game comes out, and the player base goes, okay, so there's a lot of politics in the game. And also, this is not Dragon Age. What is this? And the developers go, man, we just... why did
if
this
only
game
we
fail?
knew.
What the hell?
If only we knew.
Why is no one telling us why our game is failing? And the gamers are sitting outside the
Screaming.
window because they have these thick-ass windows going, just fix the game, right? Get the politics out of the game. Make the choices matter. Make the combat matter. We want Origins combat, not whatever this shit is. And the developers are just going, this is
If only we
pickle.
knew. If only we knew.
Yeah. It's like, dude, what are we even doing? Like, why are we even talking? And then this was insane. When Corinne Bush is talking about how they feel about the game now, she makes a point of going, we're incredibly happy about the critical reception that the game has received and the critical praise that the game has received. And the game is a critical success. Now, they keep using the word critical. You see, because if Corinne was honest, critical simply means the media.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
The media gave it 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. But then Corinne also has to admit sales is very low. But don't worry, it took years for Dragon Age Inquisition to sell as well as it ultimately did. So they're not worried. And I think to myself, well, Dragon Age Inquisition didn't launch on Steam day one. So, yes, it took 2 years for it to finally start selling. Because only 2 years later, gamers have the ability to buy the game.
You're not worried about about Dragon Age Veilguard. Okay. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
But also, we think that this game is going to sell really well. That's why we're not making any more DLC for it.
It will sell really well when you discount it down to like $19.99. I think it'll sell well. I think a lot of people will pick it up just out of curiosity, and then they'll probably
just for the memes.
They'll probably have a good time with it at the price point of $20. Yeah, for sure. There's like I said, there's plenty of enjoyable moments.
I've played far worse games for $20.
There's plenty of enjoyable moments in the game. You know, I actually found it funny because yesterday I saw an article from Kotaku saying Dragon Age releases their incredible character creator for free. And I just quote tweeted that, and I was like, incredible is a very strong word for that. If you think that character creator is incredible, I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts on the Dragon Age, the Dragon's Dogma 2 character creator. Now that is an amazing character creator, all right? The fuck?
Dude, I would go so far as to say God of War has a better character creator than Dragon Age.
I actually, because, usually I always play male characters in these games. For my review, I was like, I've heard a lot of complaints from people that were trying to make a female character. So in the interest of my review, let me just check that out real quick. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, what?
Dude, you can't have boobies. You can't have
it's like,
booty,
listen,
right?
If anybody has slightly bigger than average boobs, there's no representation in this game for you. Okay, it's like,
no, absolutely not. You don't count.
You don't count. Or big booty, not that either. You can be morbidly obese if you want and have like all those skin defects, but that's about it.
Yay! Because that's what I want. As a morbidly obese asshole, I would love to play a video game in which I'm morbidly obese. That sounds like a gas. Is it realistic? Does my character tire and have to rest every 10 meters of running?
No, but here's the thing. That happens in Dragon's Dogma 2. Like, if you make your character proportions actually impact gameplay, which is actually really cool.
Yeah. Dragon's Dogma is really good. But so here's the kicker, right? After all of these failures, and we've discussed quite a few of them now, lots of people will probably say I shouldn't celebrate it. At least I shouldn't say we, because I don't think you will. But I am absolutely in a celebratory mood because just this morning there's an article that says that 23,000 jobs have been lost in the gaming industry in the last 2 years, and Ubisoft is probably responsible for like half of that.
I don't celebrate that. I mean, here's the thing. Anything that is bad for Ubisoft's bottom line, anything that makes their executives lose money, that I celebrate. So whenever their stock price tanks into the fucking dirt, I'm like, fuck yeah. But the fact that they fired people, I don't celebrate that, because that means they're firing these people so that they can pay themselves more, because that's essentially what's happening. Like, you think the Ubisoft executives are going to sacrifice their bottom line? No, they'll sacrifice every last one of their underlings to the lion god in order to make sure they're like, listen, my Christmas bonus needs to be 5% higher than last year. I don't give a fuck if little Timmy loses his jobs, if he has to go into unemployment, if his wife has to start working on getting some food stamps for the family. I don't give a fuck. That's the Ubisoft, executive mindset. They're like, all I need is this fucking bonus to be 5% higher than last year, and everybody else can go pound sand for all I care. And that is one of the biggest problems in the gaming industry. And it sucks that people are getting fired, because if people weren't getting fired at Ubisoft, it would mean that some of these executives would actually have to take pay cuts. And that I would celebrate. Yeah. But them losing their jobs, that fucking sucks. And 23,000 people losing their jobs in gaming is absolutely devastating, because we are losing so much fucking talent. There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to come back into the gaming industry. They're going to be like, fuck this. This is one of the most unstable markets in existence. I'm never doing this again. And a lot of those people might not be talented, but a lot of those people most definitely are talented. And it definitely sucks.
My view is a little bit better, or a little bit different. Not better, sorry. But my view is different. I see it as, if you're a developer with skill and you are good, you will absolutely find another job. There will be a place for you in the indie scene, the AA scene.
Yeah, but
the up and coming AAA scene. But
think of it like this, okay? There's one thing that I feel like you're not taking into account, because I get what you're saying. Okay, I understand. Yes, these people can find jobs and all of this stuff, but you got to keep in mind, what if these developers have families, right? And a lot of these companies, like whenever you're talking about Ubisoft, Activision, Blizzard, all of this stuff, a lot of these companies have strict policies about them working at an office. So like, you relocated in order to be able to work at these companies, and now you're getting fired. And it's like, do I really want to gamble again, moving to another place to go to another fucking company where they're going to fire me 2 fucking years from now? There's no stability for my children, no stability for my family. That's insane. That's absolutely fucking insane. Like, if you're a single person, you're not married, you don't have a family, then it's a little bit easier for you to this is not to say that these people don't deserve stability, by the way, because I know that some people will interpret me as being, insensitive towards the plights of single people. And it's like, no, that's not the point. What I'm saying is, it is more manageable for them to find employment elsewhere and move and do all of this stuff, but they also deserve a stable life. But the point is, whenever you have a family, like, doing this is insane. And it's like, if I was put in a position where I just moved to California, let's say, for instance, you want to work at Blizzard, okay, you move to Irvine or whatever the fuck.
I don't.
Yeah, but let's say somebody wants to work at Blizzard. They move to Irvine. They take a fucking huge hit on their quality of life, because Blizzard doesn't even pay them enough to, live properly. They have to live on the outskirts of town. Massive fucking commute. And they did this just for passion out of working at Blizzard. And they moved their family over. They have 2 children, blah, 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 blah. They get fucking fired. What the fuck is that guy going to do? What is he going to do? He probably doesn't even have...
Was he a good developer?
Yeah, imagine this is the best developer. Imagine this is the guy that made some of the best systems in World of Warcraft, and he got fucking fired. What's he going to do in Irvine, California?
Oh, man. He can go work somewhere
He's going to go work at fucking Walmart. That dude is fucking cooked. His life is over.
I don't necessarily think that, because, again, you have a resume, you have a portfolio. You can take that to any other company and they would probably jump. If Chris Mason, for example, wanted to work anywhere else in the world, he would get that job.
But
like anyone would hire
Chris
him,
Metzen's
right?
a big
because
name.
they want him.
Nobody wants to know about Joe Schmo that worked on systems.
No, but remember, even Joe Schmo has a portfolio. He has in his resume all of the stuff that he's worked on.
What is the likelihood of him finding another job in Irvine, California?
Well, I would say the same likelihood of him finding the job at Blizzard in the first place, right? He found the job in the first place. And look, I'm not suggesting that good people will not always also be caught in this. And that is a sad bit, right? It is sad. But the question is, how do you get rid of the bad blood within our industry without some good blood getting hurt in the process? I don't think it's possible. I think it's like a forest fire. You know, forest fires are terrible. Plenty of animals die, plenty of birds die, plenty of plants die. But if you don't have that forest fire, new life cannot spring up. So you kind of, yes, you're going to lose the good with the bad, but in the end, you're going to have
I don't think
more
that's a good
good
analogy
at the end of it.
because forest fires actually do more harm than good in the long term. Like my fucking country, my country has been devastated by forest fires. Dude, you have no idea how much we've lost over the years to forest fires. You're crazy.
No. Forest fires do not do more harm
than good. You are
insane. Bro, you're talking to a guy that lives in a country that's all nature, right? I know for a fact So look, forest fires can be very damaging to humans and human settlements, but for nature, forest fires are very good in the long run. I promise you they are. You can go do the research on that. I promise you they're very good.
Like, I have firsthand experience.
No, I'm really not.
Like, listen, my country's lost something like 60% of its green spaces to forest fires, and it still hasn't recovered.
Yeah?
It still hasn't recovered.
Yeah, but dude, you're thinking in terms of what? 2-3 years, maybe
I'm thinking in terms of 20 years.
Way further. No. Dude, we have forest fires here all the time. They're good.
No.
They are good. They genuinely are. I promise you, dude.
You will never see me agree to that, ever. You are crazy.
Fine. Go Google it. Go do the research on it. Go read about it. Forest fires are incredibly good because they help clean out a lot of the overgrowth, a lot of they clean out the diversity so that more diversity can move in. So it is a good thing. I promise you it is a good thing.
You're so upset about DEI that you want to clean the diversity on forests. You're like, burn it all down.
No, what happens is, man, I don't want to go into too much detail here. I did not think that this
would be. We're not going to agree. We're not going to agree. Forget about it. Move on.
But wait, I'm in the process now, so I may as well just explain it. What will happen over time in any forest is that some plants will take over. So they will become so numerous that a lot of the other plants have no chance of actually growing. So they start taking over. Some of these will be parasitic. Some of these will be sort of pests. But a lot of them are just normal trees and normal plants. But because there's so many, a lot of the other plants just don't get enough sunlight, don't get enough nutrients, and so it's very difficult for them to grow. A forest fire clears all of that out, and then what happens after the forest fire is, first and foremost, a lot of that ground is now a lot more fertile than what it was before, and then new biodiversity starts to spring up, and you now have a lot more plants being introduced. So that's sort of the thing behind forest fires. But you can go look at that in your own time. Fact of the matter is, you need to accept the fact that the bad and the good is going to get hurt at the same time. There's nothing we can do about that.
See, the hope is, I don't think that the right people are getting hurt. That's the problem in this whole process. You're like, oh, it's a good thing actually that a bunch of people are losing their jobs. But the reality is it's not a good thing, because the people that are responsible for the failure of these games are not the ones losing their jobs, because the people that are responsible for the failure of the Veilguard is not the programmer who was sitting there coding quests or coding fucking, combat or anything like that. It's the people at the top who decided, like, oh, we're going to make a God of War Veilguard. It's the same thing with Destiny. The reason why Destiny keeps fucking up is not because of the people that are actually working on the game, the people that are constantly getting laid off and losing their jobs. It's because the leadership are a bunch of fucking lunatics that are completely out of touch with
but
reality.
you see,
it's the same thing with Diablo, and the people up top are never going to get what's coming to them. That's the problem.
No, but you seem to think the only problem lies at the top.
The biggest problem absolutely lies at the top. Make no mistake.
I don't share that view. I think the problem at the top is equal to the problem in the trenches. I think you have a bunch of developers that are far more interested in pushing political theater than they are making video games.
Like that guy, that Matt Hansen guy, he's a minority, okay? He's a fucking lunatic.
I don't agree.
He probably
with
should
you
be in an asylum somewhere. It's like, listen.
Dude, if he was...
No, he's a minority.
If he was a minority, then Avowed's official channels would not be banning people for asking questions about him.
And let me ask you something. Who makes that decision? Who makes the decision of what is the policies of the company? Is it some fucking intern that you hired to run a Twitter account? No, it's the leadership.
So in other words, the developers on Avowed banning and blocking people on Twitter from their own
developers aren't blocking people.
No. So if someone goes to one of the community managers on Twitter and asks, listen here, what is the company's stance on Matt Hansen? And then getting blocked from that person, is not that person blocking them.
That's not a developer. I'm telling you, that's not a developer.
Dude, it's a community manager.
It might be a fucking intern they picked up off the fucking street.
I don't agree with you, because from every single whistleblower that we've seen thus far, they all say the same thing. These companies are infested with it.
I believe
from the top to the bottom, it is crazy.
I think the big thing here is, who allowed that to happen? You're going to tell me that like a random developer who's a Twitter activist, he's the one who decides, okay, we're going to hire this person who's also an activist and this person. No, there's an HR department somewhere who answers to somebody up top in the leadership position, and they're the ones making this decision, and they're the ones who are never, ever, ever going to see the consequences of their actions. So these people that are losing their jobs, I don't agree.
Well, we actually have the article that we didn't really get into last week in detail, but I did make a video on it. The Disney, the ex-executive from Disney, as well as from Amazon, who spoke about how this happened. The thing is, it happens slowly without you even realizing. Because these developers hire from... Now, you have to put yourself in the position of, let's say, BioWare. BioWare needs developers. Who do they hire? Well, they can take a risk at Pete that sits in his bedroom all day making YouTube videos about, BioWare games or whatever. But that's a risk, because you don't know if Pete is actually a good developer, if Pete even really knows what he's doing. Or you can go with Chris, who has studied at one of the, at Berkeley or something, and have studied game design. So what all of these companies did, just to sort of minimize risk, is they went for the college graduates. The people who have studied game design because they already know how to design games, because obviously they were taught how to design games. What none of them realized is that, on average, the vast majority of these developers that came from these high college degree angles were woke. They were super woke. And that's what ended up happening. Like, the dude explains in detail.
Okay, now let me ask you.
You wake up and you go, wait, we're getting all of these reports from our own developers.
Now let me ask you.
Forcing us to do certain things or else.
Well, let me ask you. John developer over there sitting doing like, oh man, I'm going to work on this brutal shield slam skill that we're going to be doing. Oh man, this is going to be so awesome. On Avowed. Right, John developer sitting over there and he's coding away, being a little code monkey, being like, oh man, so the shield's gonna bounce off of like 3 enemies, and then on the final enemy hits him in the head, his head explodes, and he's like super excited about this thing he's working on. And it's like, John developer, is he the one that is responsible for like these fucking hiring practices of hiring the super activist, the ultra woke person or whatever the fuck that's coming straight out of college? John developer has nothing to do with this. John developer is not sitting there choosing who to hire. John developer is not sitting over there on fucking social media blasting away like an absolute maniac, like this Matt Hansen character going like, fuck these people, fuck them, don't buy our game, blah, 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 blah. John developer is the one who's actually excited working on the video game, and then he goes on the social media and is like, Matt, what the fuck did you do, Matt? What the fuck is wrong with you? And then leadership goes like, actually, Matt's important. Fuck John developer. You're fired because we need to cut some people out. John developer is fucked, and he had nothing to do with anything that happened.
Yeah, but my problem is you just sketched a scenario that proves your point, and I can sketch a scenario that doesn't prove your point. So we have to take both into account, because what happens to Karen, the developer, who wrote this entire storyline about how white men ain't shit and should all die, and now she sees Matt Hansen's tweets, and she goes, yeah, go for it. Tell those white bitches what I think of them. And then she gets fired. Does she deserve to be fired? Yes. The good and the bad.
Yeah.
Yes, John, the developer, is going to get fired. Or Joe. Sorry, Joe.
No, I said John.
Named you.
John developer.
Did you say John? Sorry, John. I almost misnamed you. But John, the developer, yes, he loses his job, and that is bad. But so does Karen, and that is good. Now, you seem to think that I'm defending the higher-ups, and I want the higher-ups to keep their jobs, but I want the developers to lose their jobs. This is dude, I am an equal opportunities offender here. I want the entire industry to burn down.
That's the problem with the whole thing where you're like, oh, I'm celebrating that these people are getting fired. And I'm like, I would rather the person above Karen who wrote the quest about how all white people are bad, I would rather the person above her that saw her write that quest and didn't do anything about it, I want that person to get fired. Because if there's somebody above Karen that actually knows what the fuck they're doing, they're going to look at that Karen quest and be like, Karen, you're a racist and you're fired. And then John doesn't get affected by that because John's just sitting over there talking about shield slams. Okay?
Yeah, but remember, you just made the point that should make you change your mind on this, because you did say someone made the decision Matt is more important than John, and therefore John gets fired, but Matt doesn't. So you have an entire rotten system at the top. Most of the bottom of the system is also rotten.
No, I don't believe that most of the bottom. Let's put it like this. You are of the belief that there are more Karens than Johns, and I'm of the belief that there are more Johns than Karens.
I'm genuinely just going off of whistleblower.
Yeah, I know.
And whistleblower reports tell us that I
believe
they
that
don't
there's
even
more
speak.
Johns than Karens, and the problem is everybody getting fired doesn't change anything. So like these 23 people losing their jobs, you're burning down the forest without any of the good things coming out of it. Unless the people getting fired are the higher ups, it doesn't fucking matter and nothing changes because they're the ones who dictate where things are going to go.
I'll tell you from a conversation that I had personally with a developer that worked at Blizzard Entertainment, that left Blizzard Entertainment. He was one of 5 guys that were conservative.
Was he one of the ones that fucked Zoe Quinn?
No. He was one of the 5 people that were conservative at the company.
That was a bad joke.
And also, he made it very clear to me, you do not share your politics unless it's super woke with anyone at Blizzard. Because if they find out that you don't buy into it, you're out. And they will forcibly remove you from that building. Those developers are rabid inside Blizzard Entertainment, and I have no reason to believe that Blizzard Entertainment isn't as bad as every other company. Now, when I look at the 23,000 jobs, when you look at the 23,000 jobs, you go, man, we've lost a lot of Johns. When I look at the 23,000 jobs, I go, the gaming industry is on its last legs. They wouldn't have fired these developers if they were making bank. They're firing these developers because they're not making bank. They keep losing money, and I want them to lose all the money. So the more developers they fire, the less money they're making, the better it gets in the long run because they'll close down.
Your approach is basically one of the things that I talked about when it comes to the Bungie situation, where I'm just like, I want them to burn to the ground because that's the only way that leadership is eventually going to feel the sting. And the thing is, I just wish that there was a way for John developer not to get fucked over in this process. But yeah, I guess there isn't. It is what it is.
I think so. Like I said, I've spoken to developers that work at Blizzard.
You spoke to one of the John developers.
Well, I believe he's one of the Johns. I know I can't say which systems he developed, but I know the systems that he developed, so I know he's good at what he does.
Okay.
Yeah. He's one of the good guys. At least from my perspective. Now, obviously, gaming is subjective.
If you're going to tell me this motherfucker worked in the Great Vault, I will never believe you again.
No. In fact, he was one of the few people who were very much not okay with the Vault.
I love this man. I will have his babies.
Never said it. He never said anything because there's a bit of a thing of not going against what other people want.
No negativity in the dojo.
But anyway, so having spoken to him...
No negativity in the dojo.
Yeah. Having spoken to him, he left Blizzard and he immediately got an offer at a AA company. Like, instantly. So, in my view, the Johns of this world will find other work. Will we lose some Johns? Yes, absolutely. But the Johns will find new work. The Karens are the ones that's going to struggle because Karen has to go to the next AA studio and be like, oh, here's my resume and my portfolio. And they go, what is this quest line? Screw all white men. What exactly is this
right
quest
now,
line?
with the success that DI is having, I think that Karens will have maybe even a leg up. I don't know.
I don't know if, at least from the AA side, it doesn't look like DI is as successful. They don't seem to buy into it as much, but maybe that does happen at some point. But fundamentally, I think the cream always rises to the top. And fundamentally, this will happen here as well. But when I look at 23,000 jobs lost, that to me is a good thing, especially when you consider, and this I know will make you happy, when Ubisoft is forced once again to close another video game.
I'm happy that they have to. I'm happy that they have to shut down another video game because it's just a little bit less Ubisoft slop in the world. But I still think that it sucks that 300 people lose their jobs. Unless those 300 people were in leadership positions, then I would celebrate. I'm like, fuck them executives that are making bank off of exploiting everybody with their shady business practices. But yeah, unfortunately, 300 people lost their job. Fucking sucks. But X-Defiant being filtered is not necessarily something that I'm like, oh no, X-Defiant.
No, I genuinely, when I saw the news here, I was like, X-Defiant, what the
fuck is that?
That's how little I knew
like
of
free-to-play
this
slop that Ubisoft was getting ready to make NFTs out of. It's like...
Yeah, X-Defiant, by the way, for those of you that didn't know, is now closing its door. But it gets actually more disgusting when you start to put two and two together and you realize the lead developer of X-Defiant said 2 months ago, all of the rumors about X-Defiant closing down is over-exaggerated. It's lies. We are already planning year two's content.
I remember that.
We're already planning year
I think
two's
I was
content.
in one of my live streams and I was like, so this guy says that this game's absolutely not closing down because of course it's not.
Yeah.
And I remember that there were actually indicators that the game was doing so fucking terrible. And I was like, of course he's going to say this. Yep. It's his job to say this. I wouldn't trust a single thing this guy says. And wouldn't you know it?
But now they sold battle passes.
So?
That's why he said it.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The people that bought the battle passes thought, hey, they're planning year two content. This means this game is going to be around for a long time. I'll drop a bit of cash. Yeah. Now, they do offer a full refund for anyone that bought it since November, I think. But you see, this is sort of like the same play as those guys like Ubisoft and EA that keep going, we have the standard edition or the poor man's edition. We have the middle class edition that is almost the poor man's edition. And then we have the rich edition or Bill Gates' children edition. Or for $14.99, you can get Bill Gates' Children Edition if you would like it.
Yeah.
Right? They know that most people are going to subscribe and then forget that they've subscribed. And then that subscription is going to roll over and roll over and roll over. This is exactly the same play. They knew that some people are going to refund, but a lot of people aren't even going to know that X-Defiant is closing down. So by the time they finally, in a year from now, tell their friends, man, you know what I'm going to play now? X-Defiant. I'm sure they've made that game brilliant now, and I still have that battle pass I bought last year. And then they log in and they go,
oops,
where's my game? What is happening? There's no more refund. There's no way to refund. It's all over. That's the peak scumbaggery. It's like Ubisoft just going, wait, you guys think we're scumbags?
Just you wait. Like twirling their mustache. Just you wait. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah, it is insane. But we still had some other stories. I'm just trying to quickly see. We should give a quick shout out to GOG
yes.
with their preservation program.
Blizzard basically came up to Good Old Games and they told them, hey, we're remastering Warcraft 1 and 2, so we're going to need you guys to go ahead and stop selling that. And Good Old Games basically turned around and said, okay, we won't sell it anymore, motherfuckers, but we're going to support it in perpetuity for anybody who's ever bought it, because fuck you, Blizzard. That's why. And by the way, I actually, I used to know quite a few people.
And I think they offered it now on discount, by the way. I think they offered it for the last 2 months.
Discount. They made a discount, and it lasts until the 15th of December, I think. I used to know some people over at GOG. I haven't spoken with them in a hot minute, but they were super chill dudes. Like, they really enjoyed what they were doing, and it was just like fun times hanging out with them. Whenever I would go to like an event or whatever, I would always just make some time. Oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friends over from GOG.
Good old games, man. I like their mission. For those of you that don't know, Good Old Games is literally what the name suggests. Yeah. Their entire mission is to take games that are quite old, give them a bit of a makeover, not in terms of remakes. That's not really what they do, but what they do is they'll update the game to the point where it can run on modern systems. And what's really cool about that is it's an ongoing process. So every single time new systems come out, they release new patches that make sure that game can run on the new systems. So it's a really cool service. If you guys haven't signed up yet, their partner, or their parent company is CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Or actually CD Projekt. CD Projekt Red is the game studio, and then GOG is the store. So it's always, this is one of the reasons I bought Cyberpunk 2077 directly on GOG. Because
no DRM,
I want to support.
Yeah. I mean, there's no DRM on Steam either, so.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they have, but not always. Only when the developers, I think, insist on having DRM will Steam add DRM. But for the most part,
what I meant is Cyberpunk doesn't have DRM on Steam. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, but no, I was buying Cyberpunk literally just because I want to support GOG and by extension CD Projekt Red directly. So that needs to be given out. Then just a very quick mention here, just so that you guys don't say we're not giving you all of the news. All hail Gabe Newell, the Gaben.
What has he done
this time? The Gaben has now. So a while ago, the ADL, that wonderful, wonderful organization, came out with a report that claims that Steam is just
the toxicity thing?
For racism and anti-Semitism, right? Because Steam has over 200 million accounts, and yet they found 800 and something thousand instances of Pepe the Frog. And so Steam is just the most racist place on the planet. And
How
Warner,
dare you, Pepe the Frog. Oh.
Mark Warner, a senator from Virginia in the US, wrote a very angry letter to Steam saying that it's time that Steam joins the rest of the social media companies in moderating their content and moderating their community to make a safe and accepting community for all people. It's unacceptable. Now, this is the third letter sent from the US Senate to Steam. Guess what Gabe and Valve did for the first two?
I would like to think of Gaben sitting on his porcelain throne, wiping his ass with it. That's what I'd like.
Crickets. They just ignored it. Like,
so
Valve doesn't even reply to the Senate.
So my headcanon could be true. Gaben just like sitting on his porcelain throne. Oh, nice. Just like wiping his ass.
Actually, this is one of the things that Mark Warner says in his statement. Valve not replying to them is disrespecting the institution. And Valve's just going, well, the First Amendment says you can't tell us what to do. So just ignore them. Just continue doing what they're doing. They don't care.
What a Chad, so, dude. What a fucking Chad. Actually based. Is just amazing. Actually based.
Yeah. He is based as hell. Then quick last update for today. Riot Games will now, and I'm only saying this really as a public service announcement for those of you that might not know yet. Riot Games just updated their terms of service. You can now absolutely lose your account even for things that you say that isn't in game. Now, this primarily will mostly just affect other creators.
Yeah.
Because if you have a Twitter account and it isn't linked to Riot, they're not going to know who the hell you are tweeting a bunch of mad shit unless you take a screenshot of your game and you put it on your Twitter. But technically speaking, they are now within their rights to ban your account if you say anything on YouTube. For now, though, it is only if there is actual Riot game footage on the screen while you're saying whatever you're saying. But the problem is, if you go into the language, and I was listening to this lawyer go through it. If you look at the language technically makes it, if you say anything they don't agree with, even if it isn't footage of their games playing, they can just ban you.
Okay.
So, basically
that's always a good thing.
Oh, Gabe is a really good guy. What happens if we do the opposite of what Gabe is doing?
Oh God, I don't understand this idea that a lot of these gaming companies have now, where it's like, no, I'm gonna police what you say outside of my video game, and if I don't like whatever it is that you say, it's like, oh, come on, man. It's like it's none of your business,
dude. I don't know.
It's none of your fucking business.
It's called busybodies, and I just. This is not a religious stream, and I don't want to make it a religious stream, but it is an interesting little tidbit. Paul, in his letters to the churches, I think it's to the Corinthian church, he tells them straight up, do not tolerate busybodies in your midst. Busybodies are people that are constantly obsessed with what other people are doing. So anyone doing anything that they don't agree with, they're like all up in their business. We have a lady in our complex where I live that's like this. Dude, the other day I'm walking past her and she stops me and she's like, listen here, there's someone in your street that has a dog that hasn't been registered yet. And this dog keeps barking. If you hear that dog barking, you have to call me immediately because I need to give them a fine. And I'm like, bitch, I'm not doing that. What are you talking? These are my neighbor. I don't care. I don't even hear their dog. Bro, like, why does this matter?
Bro, this is like some next, like there's some people, it reminds me, like I've seen some really unhinged videos from this thing in America, which is the homeowners associations, where somebody will have like a car on their driveway and some random person will go in like, you can't have your car in the driveway. It's like, what the fuck, bro? This is my fucking house. I'd be going ballistic if somebody would come to my house, tell me what I can do or I can't. I'd be like, bitch, get the fuck out of here before I shoot you. Isn't that how that works in America?
Yeah, but it's that busybody spirit, and that's sort of this thing of we will police everything you say. You will not say anything mean. You will only say the things that we agree on. And it's like, bro, where do you get the energy?
Yeah,
I'm way too busy with other shit.
I don't have the time.
Like right now, right now, I'm going to sit and figure out how to link my Path of Exile account to my Steam account so that I can play Path of Exile 2 early
Which is
access.
way more important.
I don't have time to police what other people are about to say or not say. Like, bitch, please, let me finish my game first, and then
listen,
maybe if
tell
there's
you what,
time.
if somebody does something illegal, I'll report them to the police. How's that? Does that work for you? Good. Okay.
Yeah. If it's actually
if
illegal.
They're doing
Otherwise,
some crazy illegal or criminal shit, then yeah, I'll report them to the police. If they're like not registering their dog, guess what? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, their dog isn't bothering me.
Unless their dog is like Rabbit or some shit and is about to go on a fucking rampage, then I don't want to hear about it. God.
Yeah, it's wild, man. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have done 2 hours. Someone said in the comment section of our last show, we finally breached 3 hours. This needs to be the new normal.
Listen, that is a standard we cannot hit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's just not that much to talk about, guys. And while there is a couple of other things here, it's not stuff like when I made the list, we usually include like all of the news, even stuff that isn't really that interesting to either of us.
We have extra topics basically that we could.
Yeah, so we could talk about the Hawk Tour
goal. We could keep going for like another hour easy, but it's just like it's not as interesting topics, I feel. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll mention this right now. Hawk to a goal did a rug pull. If you fall for it, you're stupid as hell.
Moron.
At this point, why are you buying meme coins?
Why would you buy a meme coin from the Hawk to a girl whose claim to fame is in a random interview she said how she spits on dick when she's doing blowjobs. All right? That's her claim to fame. You Hawk to and spit on that thing. It's like, bro, what the fuck? How are we?
Didn't people bought meme coins?
How are we idolizing this, bro? This is so weird.
What you need to know is it is absolutely a scam.
Of course,
Poppy's did a whole video on that. But of course, if you lost money to this,
you deserve it. Yes, absolutely. Like if you're one of the people that jumped into this meme coin, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna make so much money on a fucking meme coin. It's like, bro, you've heard of so many rug pulls, and you went and still fell for one. I don't know what to tell you, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
Dude, when she announced that she's doing a meme coin, I was like, nope.
You mean a rug pull? You're doing a rug pull. Okay. Oh, all right. Like, listen, literally every time any content creator anywhere says they're doing a meme coin, I'm like, you mean a rug pull? You're doing a rug pull. Ah, I see what you're doing.
You're about to get very rich. Well
good job. Look at you. Did you see the one with the kid? It's like this 13-year-old kid that rugged a bunch of people or whatever. Made like $20,000, some shit like this fucking tiny ass kid. And it's like the moment he rugs them, he goes like, get fucked, look, 20K. It's like this little kid. And I was like, oh my God. And then apparently he made another one saying, I'm sorry. And he rugged them again. And then he made another one for his dog or some other bullshit, and he rugged another bunch of people. He rugged people 3 times in a row. This fucking little kid, this 13-year-old kid, dude. I swear to God.
See, but the reason this keeps working, and I guess I didn't want to talk about this, but I will just spend 2 seconds on it. The reason this keeps working is in every single rug pull, there is always someone that makes money. And I'm not talking about the creator. I'm talking about
the creator also makes money. Always.
Yeah, obviously, the creator always makes money. But there will be... So how this would work is, let's say, for example, I made a meme coin. Now,
that's what we should do,
decided
dude. We're
to buy
gonna make
into the meme
We're going to
coin.
make the Bants coin. Remember how you wanted to call it Mythic Bants? There you go. We're going to make the Bants coin. BANTZ.
Guys, we're doing the Bants
coin. Listen, get in. We're definitely not going to rug you.
Absolutely,
we would never do that.
Not rug pull. Never will we rug pull you. But fundamentally, what happens is, so Rurikon buys into my coin, and then you watching buys into my coin. Now it becomes sort of like a waiting game, because the coin is going to climb initially. The coin is going to climb. It's going to rocket up as more and more people are buying in. If you can time the top, you will make money.
I mean,
the problem, of course, with this always is there's always the last idiot holding the bag.
That guy's,
the
guy's
guy
fucked.
that he was a little... Yeah, he was a little bit late. And by the time he wanted to sell his coins,
a bunch
no
of those guys.
buying.
There's usually a bunch of them. They're the ones who get left holding the bag. I mean, basically, if you think about it, this is like the stock market, but it's speed running. It's like a speed run of a stock market, right? Because stock market, people are long. This process might take like weeks or months. Meme coins takes a couple of minutes, maybe a couple of hours. Okay, it climbs up. And then once it's at the top, because like you said, we would be the ones doing it, I would sell because I would have like a majority stake. I would sell, and that would instantly cause the thing to start dropping, and then people see it drop a little bit, and everybody starts selling, and then there's that one person who is like watching Blue's Clues on TV or something, and then when they fucking go look, they're like, oh my God, there's just like one big red line, and like, no!
Yeah. Because remember, what happens is now, because everyone's buying and this coin is just skyrocketing up, everyone's buying. This looks so good. We're all making money. By the time Rurikon decides to sell his 90 or 95% stake, there's a crap ton of people looking to buy into this coin. So they're buying this coin like crazy. Rurikon gets to give off all of his 90, 95% coins, or... and this is sometimes what happens that's even worse, they'll burn it, right? So you've made all of this money, and now you burn all of those coins. That means that there are no coins. You're not selling it to anyone. You're just walking away with the bag. But fundamentally, this ultimately just means that everyone who bought in now at the tippity top, so let's say at $60 per coin, they're the ones left holding the bag.
You want to know what the funniest thing is?
Because no one wants to buy once that thing stops.
I was watching this yesterday as I was releasing like my Path of Exile video. I was like doing the meta and watching the CoffeeZilla coverage of this. The funniest thing to me is because CoffeeZilla always tries to confront them. It's like how these people think they're going to trick CoffeeZilla into believing, no, we had the best of intentions. And CoffeeZilla's like sitting there with the receipts with all of the fucking blockchain receipts. Is like, no, wait a minute. It says here somebody made $1 million. And they're like, no, that's a lie. And it's like, no, the blockchain doesn't lie. Okay, listen. All right. People lie. The blockchain doesn't lie. That's the funniest.
Dude, I will say the one beautiful thing about the blockchain is how easy it is to keep record.
Yeah.
Because if this was a normal banking old school pyramid scheme, those things require investigators to spend sometimes decades trying to unravel the entirety of this pyramid scheme and all the ways in which the money moved from bank to bank. Whereas the blockchain records everything. The blockchain goes, whoop, ooh, that money goes there, then it goes there, then it goes there, then it goes there. Yeah, it's so easy to just follow the blockchain. So it is, I think the technology of the blockchain should not be dismissed just because of really evil people doing stupid shit with the blockchain. I do think there's value in the blockchain. The problem, of course, is as with all new technologies, it is now being abused by people like the Hawk Tua girl for instant gratification.
Absolutely. Getting that bag.
I really am at a point. Yeah, but I am at a point now where I genuinely mean this. If you are someone watching this and you lost a bunch of money, congratulations.
You're a moron.
You deserve it. I'm glad that happened to you. How could you not
life
know?
Just gave you lemons, and now it's time for you to go make some lemonade, brother. That's what just happened. Life just gave you a couple of lemons, and now you can go and do some lemonade. All right, you get the Hawk to a special lemonade. That's what you got.
It's funny. And then the final story, just very quickly, Disney's Snow White sits at 1.4 million dislikes. And last time I checked, 99K likes. So I think it's safe to say people are not very happy with Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Man, I like
who
dwarves.
are not dwarves.
I like dwarves, though. That fucking sucks.
But they're not dwarves.
Oh, they're not dwarves?
They're not dwarves.
Okay.
No, they decided that it would be incredibly... Actually, here is where things get really bad. Peter Dinklage, the dwarf from Game of Thrones.
Oh no.
He made a whole thing about how it's incredibly condescending that they would have actual dwarfs playing the dwarfs.
Wait.
And so they changed the story.
Wait a minute. Peter Dinklage complained about... Oh my God, bro. Dude, Peter Dinklage just like pulling the ladder from behind him. He's like, I'm already up here.
Yeah.
All you small motherfuckers can stay down there. Shit. Holy shit, bro. Peter Dinklage just pulling the ladder.
He just pulled
that is so
under all of the dwarfs.
Dude.
There were like a bunch of dwarfs that were very angry about that, because obviously these are 7 dwarven positions for dwarfs to play. I don't know when's the last time you've seen a Hollywood movie, but there's not a lot of dwarfs in Hollywood movies. So
unless it's a comedy, then they'll have plenty of spots for dwarves.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, this happened, and now, the movie is a big
Peter
mess.
Dinklage would be grumpy in that movie. That's his role.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
But, this is where it is. Obviously, this entire like-dislike thing is politically driven. The group on the right is making themselves known. And I think a lot of that just has to do... We're reaching a point where in the very near future, companies, Disney studios, or studios in general, will have to pick a side. I don't know how long, and I hate that that's actually the thing that's happening, and it might actually surprise people. I personally don't want developers to become any political, like not right or left. I don't think they have
to pick a side.
I think they do. And it's not that I want it. It's like I'm looking at the landscape, and
There's
I'm looking
plenty
at
of games,
specifically the anti-woke gamers. And the anti-woke gamers are at a point where very soon, unless a developer actively says there is no woke nonsense in our video game, that developer is going to have a hard time.
But I think
because the anti-woke crowd is just going to look and be like, nope.
You can't drop this as the last thing on the podcast, because this is a major conversation to be had when you're talking about that, because specifically I feel like there's a lot of people right now on the anti-woke side that are being incredibly unreasonable by saying shit like Elden Ring is super woke because it's got Queen America. Baldur's Gate is super woke. And it's just like that. Basically, there's no game that isn't woke.
Yeah, but you see, this is exactly what I mean. You're making my point. We've gotten to a point now where the landscape has become so toxic that unless a developer actively says no woke shit anywhere, that developer's going to have a hard time. I fundamentally
don't agree, but that's like a super loaded topic for us to get started. But I disagree.
I don't know what you disagree with.
I disagree that I don't think that developers need to say we have no woke garbage on our game, because I think that developers just need to make a good game, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, the way the landscape is playing out, unless you do you're almost like I told guaranteed going to be the target of attack.
Yeah, but just like I told you, a lot of these attacks are completely unreasonable. Like the people that are attacking Elden Ring, like the people that are attacking Cyberpunk, like the people that are attacking Baldur's Gate. You're going to take those people seriously?
Yeah, but you don't seem to understand. What I'm saying is, it doesn't matter whether the attacks... I agree with you. It's unreasonable attacks. I don't agree with that. But if you have, and we have proven to some extent that the group that is anti-woke is considerably larger than the woke group, because we have the games that prove it. So if the group that is anti-woke reaches a point where they refuse to buy any game unless that game actively says we are not woke and we don't push woke politics, then those games are all going to suffer as a result of it. Now, my hope is, if I'm talking from my own perspective here and not just saying what I see happening within the industry, my hope is that there is a shit ton of silent majority gamers who they're not woke and they don't like the way woke politics are in video games, but they're also not anti-woke. They're more just like, look, make a good game. I don't care. I'll
That
just
is
play
the
it if it's a good
majority.
game. If that is the majority, then sure, right? But I still think any company that even flirts with wokeness is probably going to struggle in the near future. And by that, I want to be very clear, and because a lot of people disagree with this or doesn't understand this. Do I think a game that has trans people in it is woke? No. Do I think a game that has gay people in it is woke? No.
But
Women?
see,
no. People of color? No.
A lot of those
me,
people don't agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's because a lot of those people do not think critically about what they're saying. When I say something is woke, I have to be very specific about what it is I have a problem with. I don't want to be preached to, and I don't want politics being shoved down my throat. Simply having a character in a video game that is gay or is trans, when the character itself and the fact that they're gay or trans has very little to do with the character, other than, oh, look, this is a character, that doesn't make it woke. But if the character is Tash from Dragon Age the Veilguard, where the entire storyline is just about them being non-binary, that's woke as hell, right? Because I am forced to sit through this political theater piece. So I think
here's an interesting thing.
But this is what I meant when I said I think things are getting bad.
An interesting thing about Tash, you actually don't have to do that. You can just, which is interesting because I feel like in a way the developers almost sabotage themselves. You can just ignore all of the Tash quests. I don't think you're actually forced to doing companion quests. I think Skillup said you had to.
No, if you don't.
But I don't think you have to. And so what will happen is when you get to the final mission, when you assign Tash to do something, she's going to die. So you can just be like, you know what? I don't like this character. I'll just let her die. It's like, oh, there you go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, yeah, but ultimately, a lot of people, I'm a 100% gamer, right? I think you are too. I like to do things 100%. Yep. So that would be like, I would be forced to sit through the Tash bullshit. Yep. So my fear is that since we've gotten to this boiling point within the gaming industry, that very soon there's going to be absolute demands from gamers, the anti-woke crowd. And I do count myself as anti-woke. I'm 100% anti-woke. I vehemently oppose any wokeness in video games whatsoever. But my definition of woke is important to understand.
It's different from the definition of a lot of people. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I have a very specific definition of woke because I think definitions matter. I don't think you can just throw out, oh, there's a woman in this game, must be woke. I don't think that's helpful because I don't think that's how you win this debate. You win this debate by being reasonable and being clear and concise about what you dislike and like. But anyways, we've wasted enough time. We will definitely be discussing this next week, though, because as Rurikon said, this is a charged topic. It is. So next week, we'll be diving into that. God. If we go for another 3 minutes, this show is also over 3 hours.
No, we have to stop right before we hit
Sorry to the commenter that wanted us to go for 3 hours. We were almost there, but, you know.
It is what it is.
Rurikon was a little bitch.
Yes, that's me. Rurikon the bitch. Actually, I'm more like Rurikon the hungry. I want to go eat. I've worked out earlier today, so now I need to go eat.
All right. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Rurikon, as always, thanks so much for joining on the Mythic Banter. Ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you're still watching. And as always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.